What's going on, everyone? Andres Gamboa here with another episode of the Ponytails Podcast. Thank you for listening in. If this is your first episode, just so you know what we're doing here, we interview people who sold books door to door with Southwestern Advantage. It's a company that hires college kids to go door to door during their summers in college. Some people do it for one summer, some people do it for 10. We have had a variety here on the show. In episode 191 now, we've had a variety of stories, as you can imagine, that happen when people go for 80 hours a week selling educational books in a different part of the country, door to door on straight commission. And so hopefully you guys enjoy some of these stories. We have had a variety, and no different than today, Brynn Mahoney is going to talk to us a little bit about her experience. I did get a glimpse of what's coming, so you guys are in store for a crazy story from what I've heard and from what I've understood that she submitted. So she's originally from Longmont, Colorado, went to Colorado State University, part of the JYD organization. Her favorite scroll is number 2. I will greet this day with love in my heart. Sold for one summer in 2021. And she's currently working from home selling insurance. So I am excited to talk to her. When I come back, I'll be on with Brynn. Oh, and we're rolling. How's it going?
What's up, guys? It's going pretty good.
Good to see you. Hold on. I gotta pour some whiskey because you're drinking. Was it gin and tonic?
Gin and tonic. I think it's probably a double because I did like a finger and a half.
That's the way to do the show. I'm not saying that people who don't drink on the show are doing it wrong. I'm just saying that people who drink are doing it right.
I ran downstairs. I was like, I got 10 minutes. So let me just go into my cabinet, grab my Gordons, grab the ice. You got to get the tonic in there first, and then you got to squeeze the lime over the ice and in the tonic, and then you got to do the gin. That's the way to
taking notes already. If people didn't know they were going to learn on this show, they've learned now. Now they know.
It's when in my house we call them Mahoney's, and they're always a lot stronger than normal gin and tonics.
That's it. Mahoney's the homies. Mahoney's. I like it. I poured a lot of whiskey in here, so we're gonna have a fun time.
Right.
And if you need to go in the middle of the show to go get a refill, feel free.
Cool.
We will do some announcements in the middle of which by the way, I'm inviting you right now and anybody listening. This might as well be official. But hey, you should come to Bisler. I don't know if you've heard of Bisler, but you should come to Bisler.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
I've seen like a couple of like alumni that have gone, and I've seen like some of the Instagram stories and the posts, but I don't know much about it. It seems like this like secret like after effect. It's like traveling show.
Hell yeah. So basically it's just going to be an alumni reunion. This is our second one in a row. We're going to do it every year. And this one's in October 15th of 2023.
Okay.
Through the 19th in Jamaica at the Hilton. So it's going to be like the Sizzler trip, but nice.
You know what? I'm really happy. I made it out to this Sizzler, this past one, because my fiance sold, and I was really excited because I was like, I just want one more experience. So if we can tack on a Bizzler,
let's get it in. Awesome. Let's get it in. So if you guys are interested, just go to the link below, sign up in the show description, go to the show episode notes, scroll down, you'll see the link that says sign up for Bizzler right on there. So coming out, everybody. We're going to have a blast. So anyway, all right, so let's jump into this thing. Normally speaking, we jump into what you're up to now, although it has been it's very recently since you left Southwestern. But you are currently doing insurance. I didn't even know this. So where are you selling? What are you selling? How's it going working from home?
Okay. Well, it is super brand new to me I got this insurance job about a month ago, and I've been studying my butt off to like get the insurance license, and I've been like running around. So I just got it, which is awesome, but I have to apply also for a Massachusetts license because I'm working for this company underneath Globe Life, which is a huge insurance company. And the agency I work for is called More Agencies. And I loved when I interviewed for this company that it had the same intensity as honestly Southwestern. And when I was recruited and I went to info sessions, and I was like, this is sick. Like, they're going to coach me. I'm ready to get uncomfortable. Like, I wanted something new to kind of dive into. And this was such a cool. And the guy was super positive, and I recently had like my resume totally revamped, which was really awesome. I invested through Expert Resumes in Colorado, and I would read that just to give myself positive affirmations. I'm like, damn, I got like some qualifications that I didn't even know. But
Yeah.
it really helped me kind of just dive into this new job, because I was kind of not working for a month, and I was doing sales, and then I wanted to be home with my baby. So I needed to find something
Yeah.
that was here.
Congrats on being a mom. That's such a cool accomplishment. That's
Yes.
probably the highlight of 2022 for you, huh?
Oh yeah. I would say like 2021, ooh, big surprise. And then highlight big 2022, just because it was awesome.
I want to hear about the big surprise at some point. I'm sure that's going to come
Okay.
along as we go as we go through this.
Yes.
And so now as you're going into insurance, how do you prep for, like, with the confidence that you have of having sold with Southwestern? What
Mhm.
things are you hoping to stick with you, and what things are you kind of like balancing to keep yourself, uh I guess,
Coachable.
humble or coachable, yeah. Because sometimes
Yeah.
what book people go to the next thing, and we've heard it here on the show where they go to the next thing and they're like, "Oh, I'm a book person. I'm gonna kick some ass," and then they go to a different industry that's totally different. Like, not just like different from the standpoint of what the products, but like the cycle of
Mhm.
sales different, and they eat shit a little bit. So what are you doing to prep?
Well, right now I'm studying my sales script, which it kind of just like brings me back, because I got accepted into Southwestern like in January, and then I like of course like did like like a sentence here, a sentence here, and then like a month before sales school I was like, shit, I got to study this, and I've got 10 days before I have to like start my training with this, and they're like, we're not going to start you unless you have it memorized. So honestly, because of my experience with Southwestern and just saying, yes, I have memorized the script and I knew that thing word for word. Like, and in my head, whenever I went into it, I was like, I just want to be the best of the best. I was like a book person, like through and through. And so I always just like kept myself at a really high expectation to really want to do the job really, really well. So when I got accepted to do this job, I just knew it in my capabilities of already having memorized a sales script and totally been uncomfortable for 3 months in a row, doing this door to door, that of course I'm kind of expecting the to be uncomfortable, but I know that I'm going to get better at it. So it's almost like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, knowing that I'm not just going to suck forever, but I'm just like that like I will end up selling something, because I have the confidence that I am a good salesperson, and mostly because, I really just love talking to people and I'm a good people person. So, even when I feel like I get off topic with like a sale, I know that I'm like still having a good conversation. So
Yeah.
I was like definitely taking all of like the traits and all the experiences and the conversations that I had with people while I was on the field and just in my prep, and knowing that I was going to give my best, is what I'm taking into this next job of I want to do something uncomfortable because I also want to grow. That was a huge key thing when I was in Southwestern, just like listening to those powerful speakers and those talks
Yeah.
was, and one of my student leaders on the road, Trevor Gritton Adkins, he said something at one of our Sunday meetings. He said, God is not focused on your comfortability right now. He's focused on your character. And I'm only
Mm.
25 years old, like a brand new mom, and I don't just want to stop right there. I know that there's more for me, and I've always wanted to be a mom, but I want to be able to be like kick ass in something that I want to do and provide,
Yeah.
so that was kind of something I
Wow.
was like, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to be uncomfortable again.
That's such a cool mentality to have. Um, most people don't have that mentality. When they're scared of discomfort. Most people are. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe I'm generalizing here, but generally speaking, when you meet someone, comfort is premium, right?
Mhm.
So the fact that you're open to discomfort, open to eating shit, essentially, right, in a new industry, like when you say, you know, I'm brand new at this, but I want a challenge. That's a
Mhm.
killer attitude. That's whew, you're gonna do
Yeah.
great. You're
I'm
gonna do,
and
well,
I remember like, and also just like studying something. I remember coming off the road, and I met with somebody to talk about like a IRA, and like insurance and what that was. And honestly, it went so over my head. I knew nothing. Like, even I have a life insurance policy. I think it's term. Like, my fiance
Yeah.
handled it, but to jump into something that I already was totally like, I had no desire to really learn. But after going through the funnel of, what kind of job in sales did I want to do? I said, I want to be able to like help families like I did with Southwestern, and just having that passion for it. And it was funny because like the night before I was having to like take my insurance test, you have to pay for these exams. Like, I dropped like $80. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like I definitely don't want to. And if you have to get a 70, like at least to pass.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like taking the exam at night, and I'm like, fail this question, like the practice exam. And I'm like, fuck, like I'm gonna fail. And then the next morning I was like, you know what? I put on like, it was funny because I put on my playlist that I played like as I would like be going out to the book field to like hype myself up. And I just like, but I kept telling myself, I said, and like verbatim, I said, you know what? All I can do is my best. Like, all I can do is all I can do, and all I can do is my best. Like, I studied up to everything that I did. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, I know it, but I couldn't be upset about like all the stuff that I maybe didn't study yet, So I couldn't like go into the exam being like, I know nothing, Like, I did. I really like studied, and I even studied. We went up to this like huge conference out in St. Louis with my 6-month-old, driving all the way out there. That's like 13 hours. And so I'm like studying at like the same time, and like going to this conference, and like prepping and being on schedule because I was committed to like finishing it. So a lot of the core principles that I learned within Southwestern of knowing that you can get it done and do it well, I'm taking into this entire job. So
You're gonna do great.
Let's keep the positivity going, because I'm hoping for
You're
like
gonna do
a
so
commission check
good.
week 1 of like 3,400. I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, and insurance is that industry. That's actually one thing that people don't realize who are still in Southwestern, was when you leave and you start other jobs in different industries, the payout is much larger for the same amount of work, or less actually,
Yeah.
frequently. So that's great. Oh my gosh. That, that level of commitment, you're gonna do great. I know you
Thank
are.
you.
So no worries. I mean, I wasn't worried ahead of time, given the resilience you showed in the story you shared, but now I'm like even more convicted. You're gonna do phenomenal. Um, as a brand new mom too, like the taking out your 6-month-old out there, eesh, that's
Yes.
major ovaries on you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I
I
appreciate it.
Yeah, it comes with, it's like sometimes you need to like, vomit and puke and just break down. Sometimes I had one of those last night, but it's being able to just like, get it out and move on.
Yeah, and you have a good support system. It sounds like your
Mhm,
fiance, and it sounds like your family too is really
mhm.
helping you. That's
Yeah,
awesome. You got all the tools, and you have the right mentality. I mean, it's not gonna make it easier, right? But it's just gonna make
no.
it so that you can make it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I love that. Well, here's what we're gonna have to do: is we're gonna have you back at some point to tell us how you're doing.
Okay.
Like, we're gonna have to, that's just, or just like do or you know
We'll
what?
check in.
We're gonna check in at Bisler. I'm gonna see you in person at Bisler, and I'll be
Cool.
like, "Yo, how's it going?" You're gonna say, "I'm crushing." That's what's gonna happen. I'm excited
Yep.
about it. Oh, damn. Let's because I know this is gonna be juicy, full of
Yeah.
juice. So I'm just gonna wind the clocks back and go
Okay.
back to when you got recruited. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Because holy shit balls. Okay, so how did you first get recruited? How did you first hear about this? Who was it that approached you? Say, hey, what are you doing next summer? Walk me
Yeah.
through that part.
So honestly, like where I am right now, like it's 2023. 2 years ago, 2021, I was like in a very different state of life. So I was still a senior in college, CSU, and we're doing the whole COVID bullshit nonsense of college. I mean, I took a month off, like legit, and I still passed. I don't know how that happened, but I did.
Must have been some of the easiest classes in college ever
I
during
know. I
COVID.
was like,
During
oh
that
my gosh.
first semester of COVID.
Well, and that was what I think, honestly, that's a big part of it, because toward like the end of my junior year, COVID hit, and then senior year, I didn't even go onto my campus except for 3 times when I went to my capstone class. And I loved my degree. I got my degree in human development and family studies. And when COVID hit, my degree was just given to me at that point. So I just like, I didn't feel like I worked hard for it, you know, like we did like these group projects and they were just like given out to us. I mean, I worked hard, like, but I just felt like I didn't earn it, you know, like it was just kind of given to me. They were, and it just like, cause they didn't know what to do with COVID and they didn't know how to address everything. So that was a big part of like why I decided to do Southwestern, because I wanted to like do something that was challenging and was hard. And then I knew that like I did it. Like I wasn't getting any help from my parents. Like they weren't going out there and selling books for me. Like they weren't the ones memorizing my script. Like there was no shortcuts. It was either you do this and you do it well, or like you're not going to do it. So that was a big part of why I wanted to do Southwestern.
But did you know this right away?
No. So like reflecting back on it. So I decided to do it because it was actually January, like right in the end of January, and my sister recruited me.
My your sister sold.
Yeah. Okay. So my sister, when it was COVID, she was like, I don't want to be home at all. So she just went on like ZipRecruiter, applied to a link for Southwestern, and was recruited 3 weeks before they went out with Shane Blake.
Of 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she did like the first COVID summer.
It's rough. They're doing Zoom calls.
Yeah.
I remember this. I remember I was living with book kids that year. Okay. Yeah. Holy shit. So she gets in, goes house the summer, and then tells you about it.
Yeah. Well, first off, like she did this. We were like, what are you doing exactly? You know, my brother and I knew nothing. We had like the best summer of our lives. I had a great job. I was in the best shape of my life. You know, I was like going on all these trips. And I'm like, Anna, what are you doing? Like you're selling books? Like, okay. You know, didn't really know at all what it was. And so then she comes around in October and she like brings it up to me in like a very casual conversation, like, hey, like, I think you would be great. Like, you love education. You're already in, like, I was selling gym memberships and I was one of the top salesperson in like the gym area. She's like, Brynn, this is like both of what you want to do. But I was in a different relationship at the time and he was in the Navy. I know. Piece of shit. I hope he hears this. Just kidding. but he was in the Navy and I was really committed. Like we had been dating long distance for like almost close to 2 years. And I was seeing him like for one of the first times in our relationship. We were like friends in high school and like it was just it's a whole crazy story. But he was coming back in December. And I was going to see him, and our whole goal and like my whole life was kind of like planning around him because I'm such a planner. And so I originally wanted to go and get my master's in education and actually teach for a couple of years. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. It sounds really awesome, but I want to apply to like master's school. I didn't get in. And my sister was like, well, what are you going to do? You know, come around in January. And I was like, well, I've got nothing going on. Like my boyfriend is like out of the country. And so sure, I'll do this and I'm going to get really good at it. And like, you know, maybe next year I'll like start doing something in sales. So it took my sister like 3.5 months to recruit me. Like it was very persistent, like, let's have a conversation and like talking to Shane. And like, I accepted the position, like driving to Florida over like a Zoom call in the car. Like it was like, so like, I think maybe some peer pressure from my sister sitting in the back and like my mom driving, like listening to the conversation. And I remember it was so funny because my sister and I had gotten into one of those like sibling arguments in the car. You know, she was like putting her feet up on like the headboard and I'm like, get your feet off, it's gross. You know, just really annoyed. And Shane says, you know, do you want to, your sister would coach you? And I'm like, can I get a different coach? I would not regret it for the world. She was an amazing coach. And so she earned all the accolades that she deserves up to this point. So
did you notice a change in your sister when she sold? So I'm only asking because I don't know if you know my brother, Danny.
Yeah. Danny and Aisha. Aisha helped me a ton when I was pregnant and recruiting. So
brilliant. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Aisha's great mama. Uh,
Mhm.
but Danny, when I, talking to him, and he often says this, that I recruited him, and I sold the year
Oh,
before he did, and he said that he noticed that I had grown up a lot. He said he noticed a change in my behavior, a change in my maturity, and that really drove him. Did you notice the same thing, or was that not something that you were looking for, or how did that, what attracted you, I guess, at that,
yeah.
reflecting back, you're saying this challenge, but at that point, what was it? Shane? Was it your mom? Like what got you over the edge?
Um, I think two things. I'm trying to remember like why. I think it had a lot to do with, it actually was not necessarily, it was my sister, but also my sister, and the process of recruiting me was recruiting my younger brother, Gabe. Yeah.
Oh.
And so I noticed in my sister when she came back from the summer, she was just like annoyingly positive. And it was great. It was great. Like I really enjoyed it because it was a dramatic change for my sister and a beautiful change for her because we weren't ever a really tight knit close family, and we'd grown so much like when we went to college, and we like really poured into a lot of self development like for each other and just like our relationships. And so when I saw Anna really kind of open and start challenging herself more, I mean, she started like all these different clubs and all this stuff. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And so, but then she was recruiting my brother. My brother and I are really close. He's like the younger, and I'm the oldest, and like we just have very similar personalities. And he had gone through like a lot of really tough stuff in his life. He was diagnosed with Cruzon syndrome when he was a young kid, and so, and if nobody knows, like little science fact here,
Yeah, what is
Cruzon
that?
syndrome is just it's a syndrome that you are born with, where we're born with four parts of our skull that are not fused together. When he was little, his were fused together, and so instead of his brain growing out with his forehead, it was growing up. So
Whoa.
my mom, knowing mom instincts, like looked in a book and was like, something's wrong with my kid, and that's it. And so for most of our childhood, my brother was like going and doing surgeries from when he was 3 until he was about like 6 or 7. And he
Wow.
has his last final surgery as almost a 22-year-old this upcoming summer, which is going to be crazy. So I kind of like was really close with him for that reason, and just lots of reasons of like watching him have so many health issues, and he had like a near death experience that like was super like tight knit to our family, and then to watch him really struggle with like drugs and alcohol. And I had to be the one to out him to my family because I was like, you are not my brother, you
Mm.
are like, I don't recognize you. And that
Yeah.
like broke my heart. And so I had to like tell my family. So that like really ruined our relationship for a while. But he got help and like recovered. And he came back to
Fuck
me a
yeah.
year. Yeah, dude. Like shout out to those people that like can take that and like, go and like get help, and it's amazing. Anyways, but my brother came back a year later and like said thank you for like saving me. And
Wow.
he wrote a song that actually Dan Moore played, of just like he wanted to be a different man. He wanted to be a man that he could like look in the mirror and be proud of, and he wanted to do Southwestern. And so when my brother said yes to doing it, and then he called me and was like, Brynn, I think you would do really well and I want you to do it. I was like, you know what? Like, because you are doing it, I want to do it. Because if my brother can say yes to this, and like, he's gone through so much stuff, like I can do this. So it was actually just like a family kind of conglomerate, and we all like we all
Wow.
sold books all in the same summer. So it was really cool.
Wow. Are your siblings still selling?
My sister is still selling. My brother sold last summer, and then I don't think he's going to sell this summer. But my sister is still selling. She's committed.
That's great. That's great. At some point, we're gonna do a siblings series where it's like we talk to siblings who sold, and we'll see if we can get you
That'd
and
be
your
awesome.
brother. uh that'd be so fun.
It's
Wow,
funny because
that's
our
amazing.
org, like our tiny little like group team, was called the Family. That was like our team name, and it was Sione and his sister, me, my brother, and my sister. another set of siblings and like three other people that weren't like related to us. So like there was like a sibling
Whoa.
powwow, and we were one of the top orgs in the company that year. So
We
families
we could
work.
just get that orc. Just
Yeah.
all that's crazy. Is Sione that's your fiance?
Yes.
Gotcha. And is he still selling?
No, he sold his last summer last year while he came home the day before our son was born, and then was here for 2 weeks and then went back out and sold.
Whoa. So you're okay. So there's gonna be a story. That's gonna be okay.
There's a couple.
Okay. So then that's how you got recruited.
Yeah.
You're about to get into sales school. You start getting your sales tech memorized.
Yeah.
How's that experience of sales school for you? I love asking this. I'm sorry for people who have heard me ask this a ton, but honestly, I think everybody's individual experience of sales school is so fun to listen to. How did it go for you? What did you feel? What did you experience?
So this is like a key part of like why I had such a kick-ass summer was the beginning part of my sales school. Because the way I like to say it is like everything is like the way you are going to do well in Southwestern is when you burn all your ships, right? You've got nothing to come back to. Yes. So burn the ships. Okay. So this is like key. So the night before, I was to wake up at 6 a.m. and start driving from Colorado to Nashville. My long distance boyfriend broke up with me over the phone, and we had been together for 2 years, and there was no explanation. And it was actually like, it was a crazy experience because I heard him say he re-enlisted for another 5 years without talking to me. And immediately in my heart, like God was like, he's not the one for you. You know, I wanted to like start having a family. I didn't want to wait around. I was like, But also like, of course, like you're in that moment, like somebody just broke up with you, like, and I'm supposed to like, go out and do this job. So like, my sister explains it as like all of a sudden it's like 3 a.m. and like she hears me sobbing, and like my parents come in, and like, you know, I wake up the next morning at 6 a.m. because I was committed to going on a run with my team. And like we still got up. My eyes were like covered, like swollen shut. And I was like, okay. And so my sister and I drove together, and for like a good brunt of that like, drive, I was just piecing with my sister and crying and like getting
that
it all
piece
out.
Of shit.
Yeah, well, it was that, but
Good.
oh God, I'm such a book kid because I was like, this is so. I was like, this is my perfect opportunity to problem solve. Like, what are the 3 positives from what is the situation, you know? And like, we walked through the problem solving formula forever just to like go through it. And it was the best experience because I was like, no, I'm about to do this. Like, who am I going to do it for? And in the beginning, I really wanted to like do it for him because I wanted to prove to him that, you know, he made the wrong decision. And then I knew we were meant to be together, you know, and like really trying to motivate myself in that way. So my emotional purpose, like totally just, you know, changed. But I pretty much like cried and PC'd with my sister the entire drive. So when I get to sales school, it was great because I just threw my phone, you know, in the room. And little did we know I was living with my soon to be roommate for the summer. And, Mort, she she hadn't really had roommates, I don't think, in that situation, and she was just not very coachable in the very beginning. So, you know, we all like got up at 6 a.m. That alarm went off, like we jumped in the shower, like super intense. And the first morning, Mort's alarm went off at 5 a.m. and we jumped out of bed and like sprinted, and all of us collapsed over each other like into the shower. And then Mort's like yelling like, guys, it's 5 a.m. And my sister, who's the student leader, is pissed, but she's like, don't. She's like, okay, we're going back to bed. And like, we're getting in here. And like Anna was mad because she had already like taken her cold shower, and all of us were like trying to get ready.
At that
so
point,
it was
just
like
keep
it's
going.
totally messed up. And it
just
happened
your
the
sales
next.
tuck.
Oh my gosh, it happened the next day too. It happened the next day, and it was just like, oh my gosh. So it was hilarious, just like going through all this stuff and being like, okay, whatever. But sales school, like in my mind, I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm here. My bridges are burned. I have like, I was going to do really well and then go out to Japan where he was, but this is it. Like, I have no grad school. I have no job. Like, I am here. I'm going to be freaking best at this job. And so I'm going to be super focused. So I like poured into it. And I was super serious. And like, I was, what my fiance calls me is like, I was the know-it-all first year. Like, I wasn't afraid to be like, yes, I know this. Yes, let me do this. Like, I was like pouring myself into my career because I was like, this is where it is.
Good. That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And fuck that guy.
Yeah. I was also very scared of Corinne, which they did like, like the Real Deal thing
Hauser?
where you like go around. Yeah, Corinne Hauser. Like,
Yeah.
I thought she was a total bitch because she came and she's like, you guys suck. I was trying so hard. She made like 2 people cry. And I was like, oh my gosh. So every time I see her, I have to like remember, like internally be like, she's a nice person.
Isn't that fucking hilarious? So that's funny. For people, and we've explained this on the show before, but we'll take a quick brief second to explain what you mean by the Real Deal. We call it reality check and force. It's a different organization. But anyway, for people listening who didn't know, or maybe they call it something else, it's that time in sales school. It's like the Wednesday or Tuesday of sales school where all week you've been like super nice about approaches. So, first years particularly are practicing their approach on you, and they're knocking, you have a binder or something, they're knocking on their quote unquote fake door, like, hey, and you're supposed to like pretend to be a person at a door and critique them on their approach because they're practicing, because they're about to knock on doors. But this time around, they treat you how the actual field is, and they are not afraid to give it to you, which is a good thing, I think, because it gives you, that's why it's called a reality check. Like, this is actually what it's going to be like.
What it's going to be like.
So everybody does it different, but long story short, they're almost intentionally, not almost, they are intentionally mean, because that's what some people are going to be like. And so they got to pretend to be all these different kinds of people in the book field. And some of them are fucking assholes. That's just the way it is. Sorry about it. Just how it is. So you remember them. Usually it's a different person in their org. So it's not even someone who you've been working with all week. It's just someone from a different group. And so that person from that group's coming. You don't even know who the hell this person, like, who is this person? And then they just treat you like shit. They only pick like 3 or 4 people and everyone else is watching, but they just treat you like shit, because then they just give you really tough rejection, really realistic rejection.
Yeah.
And that's what you mean. So you see Corinne, you're like, oh, and you gotta like, I remember mine, and I remember watching that happen, and I'm like, oh, like, I gotta remember this person's actually not a jerk. They're actually very kind and really great humans.
I didn't even know that until like literally I saw her like maybe at like Freddy's or something. Like, I had like this intentional, like, she was mean like for a very long time throughout the summer. Like, I thought that's who she was, but then I met her and I'm like, oh, you're such a sweet girl. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
You're a goof.
Yeah. I've only met Corinne once, but it was a wonderful experience. She seems very nice. That is so fun. That's great. Now, where did you go sell?
I sold in Louisiana.
Yes, that's right. This is where it gets oof.
Gosh, I mean, Louisiana is a whole other culture. And like, I was so, what's so funny is when they were like naming off, like, we could go to like West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and then there was Louisiana. In my mind, like, I'm from the East Coast. Like, my entire family's from like upstate New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut.
Oh, no way.
Like, yeah. That's why I'm a Pats fan.
Oh, nobody's perfect. Okay, hang on. I sold in Massachusetts, so we'll get to that. I love.
Ah, really?
Mass holes are a different breed.
Yeah, they're really intense. so but in my mind, I was like, okay, law of common attraction. I could just say I'm from, like, my family's from Massachusetts. Like, I could name off all these places, and I was like, I'll be comfortable here. Like, this will be okay. But then when they said Louisiana, I was honestly more scared because I was like, oh my gosh, they're putting me in danger. Like, I could be walking down the streets like at night, and an alligator could just be like wandering the streets. Like, they run pretty damn fast, if you didn't know.
Yes. And they eat you. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight. about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy.
So yeah. And so money wise, and it just seemed like it was going to be the leads, which I wanted to go back to that because you mentioned this, and that's another thing that maybe Southwestern people don't understand is leads. That's kind of like you're saying, basically, imagine you show up to a town to sell books, you send a postcard out to every single family that has kids in school or young children, asking them if they struggle with any of the following subjects, yes or no. Would you be interested in hearing about a product that might help you with all those subjects, yes or no, name and address, and then you just waited at your HQ for like a couple of weeks, and then you got in the mail like 700 people returning that postcard saying, come to my house, here's where I live. Hi, are you the mom of the house? Yes, and you've heard of you. Great.
Yeah. Is this your
Let's-
handwriting,
let's-
Miss Betty? Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
handwriting.
yeah.
You got a few minutes? It's, again, you're not selling every single lead that you sit down with, but the leads is kind of what interested me, because that kind of anxiety feeling that I talked about at Southwestern and the anxiety I had with Family Heritage, I honestly didn't think that was going to go away, but it has. It's gone away when I sold. I still had a little bit of anxiety, but after that first knock, it goes away. But much less anxiety every week because I know I have fresh leads coming in. And so even if this day doesn't work out, I know typically our agents will get anywhere from 25 to 50 leads a week of people that they can go and call on.
I want people to understand what it is that you do, how you do it, why you do it, all of the good stuff. You hear a lot about coaching. You hear a lot about life coach, sales coach, business coach, yada, yada coach.
Man, I think just to start off, like what it isn't, it's not training. It's not showing up and having somebody talk at you for 45 minutes to an hour. And like the way that I look at it is we're all human beings. We're all broken in some capacity. And we all know a lot of the people that I work with, they know what they're supposed to be doing. They're just not executing on it, or they're not doing it as intentionally as they should be. Or they're just not focused. They have like 15 different goals or 15 different things that they're trying to balance or do. And because of that, like they're not as intentional as they should be at home, or they're not as intentional as they should be at work, and they're not picking up the phone and calling people. And it's like having a personal trainer for your business. It's having intention on why we do what we do every day, and creating clarity and helping to build our lives and our calendars around what our future goals and intentions are.
That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show.
Yeah, but I didn't run into any of those. I was more in the I was in the northern part of Louisiana, which, if you've never been, is absolutely beautiful. I am from Colorado with like tons of forests and everything, and there are one of the biggest forms of business down there is lumber trading. So you see tons of lumber trees like going down all the time, and I'm like, I didn't even know there were this many forests. Like I thought you were just swamps and everything. Like it was a very enlightening experience, and it was beautiful. And I actually do love Louisiana and miss the people, other than one particular town, which is my ponytails, but everywhere else.
gotta love a good crawfish broil down there.
Mm-hmm.
It's oof.
I can't even have crawfish. I'm allergic to shellfish, but I could have some good. Have you ever had boudin?
No, I've heard of boudin. Brandon Q and Delissa Allen, some of the forest people used to sell that in Louisiana. I've heard of boudin, never had it. What is boudin?
It's pretty much like a rice and like all the extras and stuffing, and it's like if you were to picture like a rice stuffing sausage, and there's different types of it. Like you could have and it's so good. I don't even know how to describe it. Like the first time I tried it was in a random sit down where this guy was like, have you ever had boudin? And I was like, no, I've never had boudin. And then he was like, you got to try it, and like served me up a plate of it. And oh my gosh.
What is it stuffed in?
Like a sausage casing, like the stuff that they like stick sausage stuff. Yeah.
This is I have had this, but it's different. In Colombia, they call it morcilla. And nobody knows what it is, but it's boudin.
Yeah.
Where's the type of boudin, I imagine?
It's a type of boudin. There's different ones. And so every time I've gone down to Louisiana, I always want to get boudin because you
It's
can't
good.
find boudin here.
No,
it's not a
like,
blood. I don't think it's a blood sausage.
Amy's asking if it's blood sausage. Yeah. Anyway, the point, it's delicious. It's what it is. It's served in every bandeja paisa, which I just got back from Colombia and I had a ton of. Delicious.
So
yeah. So Louisiana is a different ball game for sure. By all accounts, everyone that's come on the show has told us that it's been a crazy experience selling down there. So, what do you remember? What do you call of your first store, first week, first customer? I always like asking about first. Walk me through like your first store. Or like the first time that you talked to someone.
Well, it's funny because like I had just these crazy, like, it always like the first, like I'm the same with you, like the first is going to be the greatest. Like, what is the first going to be? And my first door, nobody answered.
That's right. That's what happens. Notice home.
I know. And
your
I was like,
heart still
really
is like,
this. Like, this is really like
shit,
anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of expecting and like preparing myself, but I remember because in Louisiana, it's super moist and super rainy. And I was like driving into my territory and I was like super new. I didn't really even know how to read the sales rabbit or like know which door to pick. And it's getting close to the 8 o'clock mark. And I'm like, okay, I want to start early. Like I want to be that first year. Like I want to be the one that like people are talked about like on like the Voxer. And but I jump out and I jump right into like instant water, like squishy water, and I'm wearing tennis shoes, of course.
Great.
And so I'm like starting the day off strong. Cool.
Great
and I remember that was like the worst. Like my sister tells the story that like that was the worst day when her shoes were wet and got like blisters all over. I'm like, okay, this is not gonna happen to me. It's gonna be fine. And actually it was like the first couple doors, like nobody answered, and then it was an old lady, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like a human. Yeah. And then I instantly was like, she's not a buyer. So I I don't even remember what I did, but I was just like, hi, my name's Brynn. This is what I'm selling. Like I like totally stumbled over like everything. And then like that one wasn't a great first. So then I like kept moving on. And then I was really proud because I'm like, no, Brynn, you got this. Like you are an A+ approacher. Like you can knock this out. You were approached by Corinne Hauser. Like you know how to do this, And I ran into this first family and it was my first sit down because I was like, I broke eye contact, like went for the bag, like did a second approach. And then somehow I was just very eager and I was like, yeah, I'll just show you right on inside. And I kind of just like nudged this way and they were all like in their bathrobes and it was like a grandma like making pancakes for like their grandkids. And she could kind of tell like who that, like, it's not even like 8:15 yet. Like, what are you doing? But they let me in and I was walking through and I remember feeling like, this is it. Like, this is what it is. Like, I can't believe I'm in here. People are making pancakes. Maybe they'll make me pancakes. Like, they did make me pancakes, which was really nice. And once I ate them, I totally got off track. So I was like, shit. Note to self, eat the food after.
Yeah. Leave with the food.
Yeah. They didn't end up getting anything. And it was funny because I vividly remember my first street because I like kept going back to that street when I like wouldn't want to like during gravy time. I didn't understand gravy for a really long time. And I would go back to like that neighborhood that I first started and I'd like go to the houses that never answered because I knew I could be comfortable there. Like that was my first like time.
Yeah, because your sit down was there and it must be nice if you get a sit down in that area, in that
exactly.
street. Yeah, which is so silly to think about now, but
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? But it was my first day. I actually made a sale because I sat down with a really awesome family in the community. And it was like a family where like the daughter was living there and the grandma was there and the uncle was also there. Like everyone lived in this tiny little house because that's kind of how Louisiana runs. Like the whole family kind of lives together, like all in one tiny little property. That or in a trailer, like.
Or it's like one lot and there's like multiple different like.
That's very uncomfortable. It was something that I like was like, okay, everybody is like, it's like a commune. It is a commune.
Yeah.
Like their own mini
like,
neighborhood.
Have you seen Ozark? For people who might
not
know, it's a TV show, but basically there's a character in there. I forget her name. She's a blonde with the curly hair, and like it's like her dad and her cousins live in the trailer next to her. It's all in one lot though. It's like one a couple of acres, not even an acre and a half maybe, and it's 3-4 trailers.
I ran into a couple of those. Some of those were really nice because then it was just so cool stumbling upon those like lots or like the trailer park neighborhoods. Like there was one you would like drive down this like dirt road and there was like this little area and it looped around and all the kids were always running around. Like horses were everywhere. Horses were like just tied up like dogs in Louisiana, like where I was. Like I just remember being like, there's a horse like tied up to like this fence post or like this like garage. Like there's no stable, like nothing. I was like, okay.
That's so
pet.
fun.
Cool.
Now, did you get off to a fast start, or were you more one of those like classic, not so hot, kind of better, then it got good, then it was the best? So, like, what was your trajectory for the summer?
I never had a 0 day.
Yeah, let's go.
But I'm gonna be honest here. I sold shit business for like the first like couple weeks because I didn't really know. I was just like, people are saying yes, cool. Like I believed in like sign them up or cross them off. So I was signing up like a ton of people and I didn't really know the difference between a weak order and a strong order. And that was something that like my OL Sione, now my fiance, knew at the time. He was like,
wait,
stop
your
signing
fiance was Sione?
Yeah.
It was your OL? Was your OL?
Yes.
Oh,
and he coached me all summer.
Look at him go. Look at him go.
Southwestern is not a dating service. Okay. And I also
say that's kind of frowned upon. It's not frowned upon, but it's not very encouraged. We'll just say that.
It is not encouraged. Definitely not encouraged. And it wasn't intended, but
sure. I mean,
the whole summer I was not focused on a relationship at all. It was after the summer. It was very much after the summer when all this shit went down. But yeah, he was a great OL and a phenomenal coach. So
we'll get to that.
But he was telling me I was signing on like really crap business for a while. So I like going back through like delivery week was hell. Like it was so hard because brutal. There were so many weak orders. And I mean, if I were to do it again, I'd know a little bit more from my mistakes. But I never had a 0 day, and it actually boosted my confidence at times. So it just helped my production and my motivation.
Hell yeah. Well, that's great because when you get enough days in a row where it's like you had at least one customer, if not more, it's just the I've had different kinds of summers. I had one summer where my first summer, not a 0 day, nothing close to a 0 day. I mean, it was awesome. And then my third summer, lots of 0 days. So, it definitely feels way better when you can go, hey, I've had 6 weeks and still can't miss. It's pretty nice.
It was really hard this year because I was home for the summer. So I was watching everybody's Facebook pages. And so when nobody would post, like, I had to take myself off Facebook because I would get stressed out because I would see that some people didn't sell, or like I would watch like Sione didn't sell anything that day, or like my sister didn't, and it's normal. It is so normal to have a 0 day, but like it sucks, It
sucks. And what they're going through. You know what a 0 day feels like. I mean, I guess you never knew what a 0 day felt like, but when you get your first one, the first time I got a 0 day was my second summer, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was selling in Massachusetts. I went from upstate New York. I was in upstate New York. I was in Wellsville, upstate New York, way western upstate New York, over by Ithaca, west of Ithaca even. And then I went from that to fucking Andover, Massachusetts area. Like brutal. What part of Massachusetts are you from?
So I'm born and raised in Colorado, but my grandparents and my parents and like everybody's all from the East Coast. So my grandparents, like one side of grandparents, they're all from like Amsterdam, Johnstown, New York, like that side. And then we have a family lake house on the Finger Lakes. So I go out to like Cuca Lake and Penny Ann, and oh my God, it's gorgeous.
Oh, it's so pretty up there. Oh, it's so pretty. That's some of the prettiest territory I sold in. It's so pretty.
That's like the best thing. Like during the summer, like when you're in a different place, like you just can like look and you're like, wow, holy shit, we live in a beautiful place. Like that's motivation enough.
That hasn't been brought up enough on the show, but there'd be times I would knock on a door when I was in Vermont, man. I'd knock on a door and I turn around and I just see mountains, like, and I'm like, this is so pretty.
Yeah.
So, because what happens is you get to see people's, like, especially when you're selling big brick, but really whenever, but generally speaking, when you're selling big bricks, you see why some people live where they live if they can afford it. And it's because they have like this amazing view, or they have this really incredible like lake that
Oh,
overlooks blah blah, and it's a bald eagle catching fish. And you see like, you know what I'm saying? It's like this amazing place. And you're like, so for like a
yeah.
brief 10 minutes, if you get to sit down, or even if you're just knocking on the door, you're like, wow, this is like someone's door. Like they open the door and this is what they see. And you see
I
some
just
of the
felt
most
like I was
amazing places.
when I was in Louisiana, sometimes I just felt like I was in like literally a storybook. I felt like I was in a storybook.
Like Narnia. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the town I lived in was called Natchitoches. Natchitoches. Oh my gosh. If I like spelt it in the chat, you'd be like, how the hell do I say this? But I had to learn it. I had to like have Google recite it so many times when we were trying to find a host family and knocking on doors. So, but yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous up there. So I honestly, Louisiana, as much as it pains me to have so many bug bites out there, it is beautiful.
Yeah. Ooh, the bug bites are rough. But yeah. Anyway, Massachusetts sucks. That's
Yeah.
my point.
Massachusetts is brutal.
I mean, I loved it, but it was just so hard.
It's hard when you're
tough.
kind of a laid back and chill individual, when you kind of come from like just being a little bit more, I don't want to even say slow paced, but
No, it is.
you
It is
have
slow
to be
paced.
like you have to address
it's-
so many drivers.
It's a different beast, man. It's a different place.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no patience. There's no, like, the patient people are there are considered impatient everywhere else. So you can
Yeah.
only imagine what the hell that's like. Anyway.
Yeah.
So okay, so all right, all right, so now we're gonna get to the juicy stuff. So you had a great summer. Crazy thing happened in the middle. We'll get that at the end.
Okay.
But then the summer ends, and then what happened? Walk me through this story.
Well, oh my gosh. I just felt like I came off such a high. I loved my summer. I left the summer with a book dog. Her name was Luna. She's
You
so
brought
cute.
a dog home?
Yes, I did.
You
And
still
it was
have this
actually my
dog?
last. I like met this family like 2 weeks prior, and there were puppies like everywhere. And I made a joke that I could like be like, hey, I'll trade you like some books for a dog. And I got really close with this family, ironically, which was kind of funny. And then I came back, and then I picked up my dog and they gave me a
No
bag.
way.
They paid me to take the dog. Like, that's how much they didn't want these puppies. They're like, they gave me $20 for the dog. Like, here's
What
the dog
kind of
and
dog?
$20.
What kind of dog?
She was a mutt. She was a little tiny mutt. Her mom, that mom dog got around because she was a white dog, and my dog looked like a mini Doberman, like Dachshund, but she was like bigger. I don't know. She looked like a Doberman. She kind of had like the same little like brown little dots on her snout, and she was adorable. And I liked her because she wasn't like, I liked dogs with like a little bit more of like a fuzzy fur than like the straight hair dogs, because they're just, I've had dogs in the past and straight hair is just like a bitch to clean up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So you brought a puppy home.
So I brought a puppy home. I was on
feeling
high,
great.
came home, and it was actually right around like, I know, like, you know, book goggles are a real freaking thing. Like, I showed up to sales school, and I was so excited. I was like, wow, here we go.
Also, reality check again. So now it's been 3 months since your breakup. So you had to like suspend what you would call, I don't want to say rebound phase, but like the I'm single now phase, and just shut that away for a second.
Yeah.
Put it away,
honestly,
go sell books, come back,
yeah.
open that up, and have book goggles on. So it's like extra rough.
It was extra because like in the, like, this is part of like the story too, but like during the middle of the summer, like I had an incident where I found out that actually that guy cheated on me. And so
Your
that
ex?
was like, and it was all a part of my ponytail story. Like, it all came down all at the same time.
We'll
Like,
get to
it
that.
was
We'll get to
insanity.
that section. Holy
But
shit.
what's crazy is that like in the middle of the summer, I just like felt this like that was the best thing that could have happened to me in the situation, because I would have done that crazy single thing, which I'd done in the past with other relationships that never really do any like good for us, when we do that stuff. So it was really good because I was like, you know what? I'm pretty fucking awesome. And if he doesn't like me, then screw him. Like, I can find somebody so much cooler than that.
Amen, sister.
That's just kind of what I like. And that was honestly what boosted my mentality to have like a great finish. So like, I'm coming out of the summer and I'm like, I am a bomb ass mom. Like, I'm not a mom yet, but I was like, I'm a bomb ass woman. Like, this is awesome. And I'm just like, I'm unapologetically myself. That was the first time where I like felt truly like joyful, happy, like I just like kind of just like trusted in like, the process. I knew there were things I couldn't control and there were things I could. So I was really excited and I was like totally on a high. And so at like check-in, I'm having so much fun. And I had like kind of I had a good check-in, kind of a shitty check-in, and where I like wanted like something I thought I was ready for, and then I wasn't, and then it like didn't go very well, and it was like a really shitty situation where I had to like say, Mort was an asshole and kind of assaulted me, and I was like all in the same thing. And so that was like part of my check-in, but then all at the same time, thank you. But it was okay because he was totally approached by I immediately went to Sione because I said like I ran into somebody because I ran away and I ran into somebody and I was like, get me Sione. And yeah, he immediately knew something was wrong because I'm like not a clingy person and I like wouldn't let go of him. And then I told him and then he told like somebody else and they went to go after him and like came straight up to like one of his like OLs and he had to like talk to me. Again, it took him a little bit and it wasn't truthfully an apology, but I've kind of forgave and forgot at this point. So I'm like, okay. But also in like the middle of like, so it was like a roller coaster of emotions. Like I was on such a high and then it like was kind of shitty. But then I just found myself kind of just like going, okay, like take a step back. We kind of went loose.
So sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Just making sure and if this is a story for Bizzler or like if this is like let me know. But there was definitely a moment where you were in an unsafe situation for sure, is what you said. Because you said I kind of got like I just wanted to make sure I'm clearly understanding. So there was definitely a situation where you were not in an okay physical, not like emotional, but you like physically you were in danger, or you had a moment that you were not safe.
It was a moment where like I thought I would be interested and like things were happening, but it's like that analogy where if like, if you give a girl tea and in the middle of like having tea, she doesn't want the tea, don't ask her to continue to have it. Yeah. And it was one of those situations where I was like there and then I drew a line and I continued to say, hey, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. And it wasn't until somebody actually like interrupted and like came into like a bathroom where I like ran away very quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was like a God universe situation intervened. Otherwise, it could have been.
And I don't know what could have been because it was one of those awkward situations where like if you're saying no so many times and I mean, I'm going to be honest, like alcohol was totally involved in the situation, but it was kind of like I honestly don't know what would have happened because I would have, like, I hate to say this, but it's like sometimes guys are like, oh, come on. Like, like you don't actually mean no, like one of those things. And then you're putting the girl in like this horribly like awkward position of like,
and it's so much
this, but you're saying
it's a pressure that's not fair. It's a pressure that's not yours to own.
Yeah.
That is unjustly being put on you. I understand that because here's the thing, and this is not to excuse other behavior, but there's other times, and you and I, we were in college and we went to get packs, or we, where it's like alcohol's involved and it's very like if the line gets drawn, you're like you're aware enough to make that line and you say no, or like you do things happen and the next thing you're like I probably shouldn't have done that, and you both go that probably shouldn't have happened. But it
Mhm.
did, and it was okay. That's very clearly a different thing. You're
Yeah.
talking about a situation where even if alcohol was involved, you were clear enough to say, no, this is definitely not what I want, and this needs to stop right now. Like
Yeah.
that was something that was, yeah, that's a different story. If you say that, I don't care how much alcohol is involved. That's a very
Yeah.
clear boundary, right? Because sometimes what I'm trying to say is sometimes there's situations where the boundaries are not as clear. Miscommunications happen. Might have been this way, might have not been. But this is not one of those situations. This is someone
Yeah.
assaulted you, and
Yeah.
someone took advantage of or tried to take advantage of the fact that you were intoxicated and tried to rob you of something that you
Yeah.
didn't want to give. That's
Mhm.
fucked. And I am very sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
And unfortunately, like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, as a woman and just going through like college and different things, like that wasn't the first time that something similar had
God.
happened to me. So like I, in a way, because of like, stuff that I had like, said, I don't want to be a victim to this stuff. Like I do not like identify with that at all. I want to be able to like get myself out of this, or like know when I'm being triggered, or like different things that's something that like it's part of my story, but does not define at all like my character or like what's going on. So when that had happened, like a part of me was like, fuck, like, is you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't want to add this, like, I don't want to add this to another part of this. But then I knew that I was like strong enough, but then also the beautiful thing was that, I could go to somebody who I knew I could trust, and that's like who Sione was, because I had been with him, and like I wanted so much to be a really strong individual and like grow so much as a person, that I was so vulnerable with Sione that I was like, I would be like the one that vented on our PC calls when he was like, it's 10 minutes. Like I was like, no, I want to like grow. I want to like get real with you. And so I knew that I could trust him with who I was. And so that's why I was like instantly like, I knew that he was going to take care of me. Like I didn't go to anybody else. It was like not just like some random person that was like on my team, or some girl that like I was close with. Like it was him, like the male character who I could trust, that could have my back and protect me. And so that was a big moment where I like knew I could trust him, and not be judged for some of those things. And like you shouldn't ever be judged for, how those things come about. But
and if someone wants to, then that's their fucking problem. It's not you. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. And now the Mort and I have like, kind of forgive and forgotten, and like we've moved on past it. And so it was a good redemption story on that part of being able to acknowledge like what had happened and who's in the wrong. And I give him props for being able to do that, because sometimes I can't imagine, like it's very uncomfortable for the guy as well to know, hey, alcohol was involved and I did something really stupid that is out of character for that person.
Yeah.
There's
something to this. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. That's an interesting. I got to be careful here, because I don't want this to come off as like everybody should be forgiven or everything is okay just if you say sorry. This is not like a thing where it's not what people who aren't Christian think Christianity is, which is, you just ask for forgiveness and everything's fine. It doesn't work like that.
No.
But there is something to be said to the person that can take ownership, reflect on the situation, on a mistake they made, right? And then apologize, take it seriously, take it as a moment of growth and understanding for themselves as to how to be a better person, that they can go and change and be better, right? So people who do heinous things, terrible things, I don't know how to discern that. But for a situation like yours, where it was like, yeah, very clearly their mistake, right? They fucked up. And then you were able to, through your empowerment, say, hey, you know what? This isn't going to define me. And you did fuck up. Thank you for saying that. And then being able to maybe even help this person learn in a way, not that it's your responsibility. I'm just saying like that you were part of their, because they do need some sort of like redemption for themselves. And part of that comes from you being able to face them and I don't even know if forgive them is the right word, but to to accept that happened, right?
Yeah.
But then that doesn't necessarily define them either, right?
Mm-mm.
Especially if it's like
Yeah.
not something that they've done in the past. If this is like
Mhm.
holy shit, this was a total mistake, I fucked up and I'm so sorry, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to forgive that. I don't know if there's like a time stamp attached to that, or
there isn't a
there's
time
no
on it,
right way to
you
do
know?
it, right? There's no right way. But
I
if
think
there's
it
something to that, you got to be able to say,
yeah.
hey, I believe that people can come back from something like that. That
I
doesn't
think
have to define
everybody
them.
is worth some sort of forgiveness. Like me being a like strong Catholic in my faith, like super devout, like it's one of the big parts of like that I want to be good at is forgiveness. And that's super hard. Like it's super hard when people hurt you, and even when you say like even like forgiving yourself sometimes like is hard to like let go of those things and not believe in the shitty things that you've done. And so sometimes when you are able to forgive others, they know that they've done wrong. If they don't, then they need more self-reflection. But it's also the first step in helping like another person get better. And especially coming off such a good summer, I was like, I am not letting this like taint my experience, one. And two, like this was a good year for everybody within Southwestern. And so I'm like, and because I don't believe that every person is evil, that I was like, you know what? Like that's just in that not every person will be able to do that. And, in their own time they could, but, being able to forgive somebody is huge. So,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah. Thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah, it's your show. I'm just reflecting on things you say. But thank you for sharing. It really, I should be thanking you for wanting to be on here and talk about this openly and being vulnerable, because this is really good conversations that happen in life that, we're just lucky that this one's being recorded to maybe somebody else can listen to it and use for their growth. So
Yeah.
good stuff. Okay, so then now
So
on that, so a mama and a daddy loved each other very much at no point in this story.
Yes. So the way Sione was my OL, which is my organizational field leader. And at the time when I actually found myself like, because he coached me throughout the summer, like he was my stat call. I listened to him the most. Like he helped me just do so well in my job. And I really liked this guy, but he was such a great coach that he never made it about himself. Like he learned so much about me, but I learned so little about him. And he's such a quiet person. We're like, it's so funny because we're like opposites attract. Like it's hilarious how like different, but how similar we are in ways. Anyways, but I left the sales school or check-in being like, I'm going to be his best friend. Like, I don't care. I was just texting him all the time. I was sending him Snapchats because I just wanted to be his friend. Like, I wanted so badly to be the person that he would like be like, yo, you want to get Chipotle with? Like, that's who I wanted. I wanted to like be that person.
You want to be the Chipotle buddy.
Yes, I wanted to be his buddy. Like, I just wanted to be his buddy because I thought he was so cool. Anyways, so then I just like, it was just like through like, we would just continue talking and talking and talking. And he did like fun trips after the summer. And I just like did different things. I had to go back back to Louisiana for a ponytail story that we'll share in a second. But that's part of my story. I had to go back to Louisiana after it. So I was like going back and forth, like finishing up my stuff out there. And then it was actually through just like all of a sudden, like our phone conversations just became like, like all of a sudden we were just like talking on the phone, not just texting. And all of a sudden we were like staying up till like, 1 a.m. All of a sudden it's 3 a.m. It honestly felt like high school. Like it felt like I don't know if this guy likes me, and I don't know if he knows I like him, and I don't know how I feel, but he became the best part of my day for more than like 2 months. Because like it was, and we haven't gone one day where we have not like spoken to each other since I started at sales school, so he just became like that person for me. And it was funny because I came home and I got COVID right when I got home from the summer. And so I was like bedridden, and I had actually given him COVID because nobody else got COVID. And all of a sudden he had to stay up in Alaska for an extra 2 weeks because that's where he's from. And So we ended up just like talking, and he said that like all of a sudden when people would ask him, you know, who are you talking to, he felt like embarrassed. Like it was like not like, oh, I'm just talking to like this girl Brynn. Like he was like, oh, her name's Brynn, you know. Like kind of just like got him. Yeah.
As a dude, that's it.
I know. And
You're
I
like,
kind of had a
oh,
feeling
you know, nobody.
he's and I just wanted, it was funny because I wanted him so badly to ask me out on a date. And actually, finally, when he came home, right before we went to Key Persons in Jacksonville, he was like, hey, when we get back, you want to get food? I'm like, sure. And he was so, yeah, we got Chipotle. That's hilarious. Yeah, we went and got Chipotle. But it was funny because he's such a sweet and awkward human being that like I went over to his house and he lives with like Jacob Flores, Natalie Rodriguez, you know, Falila, like the house, you know. So we go over there and we're hanging out with everybody. And he was like, sorry, I have to read my 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, like downstairs in the basement for the meeting later that night. And he was so nervous. He was like reading downstairs in the basement because he didn't want to take me out to get food, which is besides itself. I'm like, we can talk on the phone for hours.
Men. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in the spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy.
That's okay. And actually, and this is good to, I had Nick kind of explain this a little bit too, but it's because I've been in the insurance industry before. For people who are listening, like, how do you make 115% commission?
The way I explain it to people is the insurance companies we represent. So we're a broker. All these companies we work with, they know they're not really going to be making any money off the sales that I make for the first several years, but they don't care about that. They know these clients are going to be on the books for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So they know they're going to make money over the long haul. And so part of the reason agents are able to make so much is there's all these companies out here and they're all competing for the broker's business, because these companies don't actually have their own in-house sales force. They have independent contractors. And so if their compensation or their commission levels that they offer aren't competitive, I'm not going to place any business with them.
Hello. Off schedule moment. Wanted to tell you about Southwestern Real Estate. They're 99% drama free. Only 99, not 99.9. So it's a bit spicy. Kind of like this episode. Anyway, they will learn you to kick ass at real estate. So make sure you guys click the link below. Get in touch with them. Okay, back to work. Bye. That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show.
And I was equally so nervous. Like all of a sudden, like we can talk to each other for hours on end on the phone, but when we're in person, we were so scared. It was so funny.
Oh, I get that. My wife and I met on Hinge.
No way.
Yeah.
How long did you guys date before you guys got engaged?
I'll keep this story short. I was visiting Will Metscher in Portland. It's actually the same weekend I got the idea for the podcast, which is a whole different story.
Really?
But yeah, but I was visiting Portland and we matched on Hinge. I forgot I had Hinge on even. Like I forgot I had the app. I wasn't there to meet a woman. I was just there to chill with my buddy.
Yeah.
And she messaged me. But that was March 8th and 9th. It was like the weekend of March 8th, 2020. So like Pandy's about to rip open and destroy everyone. So
okay.
Let's just say the Pandy was about to take his mask off, right? And because of the pandemic, I had shit to do and she had nothing to do. Like the things that I would normally spend my time, playing soccer, doing whatever shit that you did in life. You remember what that was like, that April of 2020 where it was like May, where it's like nothing. But anyway, so we spent hours talking. But I know what you mean, because then in May I drove with Amy to Portland to meet her, and like that first couple of interactions was like, Oh, because it's so different to be in person. It's so, and you had been in person with him too, which is the funniest part. But now when there's feelings involved, it's like,
Yeah. It's so different.
I like turtles. I like Chipotle.
Yeah.
You know?
Sione, like when we finally went out, like it was funny because then I was on the phone with him, like FaceTiming him until literally 5 a.m. until he like got on his flight. Like he was packing. Like we were on the phone until like he made it to Jacksonville. Like it was nuts. And then when I get there, I want to like hang out with him like by the pool because meetings don't start for another 2 hours or something. And he's like, "Oh, I'm drinking my own keg." Like he was so nervous. He was like over there drinking a keg like by himself. And I show up and then he was like, "Ooh, you cute." Like he was like trying to make moves on me. And I'm like, "It's only because you're intoxicated right now that you have any courage."
Hey, sometimes that's a positive of intoxication.
Oh yeah.
You see two sides of the same coin.
But it was like that trip where like all the walls kind of came down and I was just like, you know what? Like I like this guy. I'm gonna like I was flirting with him and he was obviously flirting back with me and he like politely asked to kiss me on that trip and it was like really sweet. I was like, oh, it was really adorable. But you know what?
I don't know him, but props. Good for him. Good for you, sir.
Props. You know, consent is so sexy. So
that if there's a quote for today, it's consent is sexy.
So sexy, yes. But what I thought was iconic and just hilarious was, you know, the concept of like, you know, when you're doing Southwestern and you're going door to door, like you are such a weird person, like walking around like this neighborhood looking like a noob. And I just owned it. Like I thought I was the coolest, like weird person out there. And like I just embodied that and I finally let go of what other people thought of. And you know, as you mentioned before, in OL going after a first year is not always like the most it isn't advised, you know, but they're not going to tell you, you know, you can't like this person, you know, it's not a dictatorship. If you like the person, you like the person. And Sione and I are the same age. So Sione is 25 and I am also 25. So we're not like a huge gap difference. He was high in the company, but I was high just in years and like getting into the internship. So we're the same age, emotionally kind of similar. I'm probably a little bit more mature than Sione because the girls normally are. But it was actually, yeah, right. But I was like, you know what? I know that like we're not supposed to, but I'm not going to not like this person because of the job we do. Like, that's so stupid. Like, you know, and I just was like, and my sister, I remember she was just like she was in the job and she's like, Brynn, you don't want people to talk about you. And I'm like, you know what? If people
let them. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, you cut out for a second. We're back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay.
Oh, that was a blip. All good. So your sister said, you said if people were going to judge, and then they cut off.
Well, I said if people were going to judge me, then I really, for like liking somebody or seeing me flirt with somebody, like I didn't really want to be friends with them. Like if I'm not going to be friends with people, and if this company is who they say they are and being like really good individuals, and I'm friends with a lot of them, and they want to talk behind my back, then I just don't need them in my life. So I was like, you know what? I learned a lot from this summer and I met the most incredible man that God meant for me. And so I was just very happy. And he was like the first person who like really saw who I was without like trying to be somebody that I wasn't, you know, over the summer. So I like knew that he knew who I was and he liked who that person was, you know. He didn't see me like, you know, really sexy in a club. He saw me like no makeup with like probably haven't showered for 5 days, you know, like that's like who he saw, you know, being a nerd.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it was actually, we were like dating and like we would go floating at CU and come back and like have lunch. And like, those were our like dates. Like we would go to work and then we like meet up for like a 5-minute powwow. He'd give me a kiss on the forehead. I'd go back to floating. It was really cute.
Oh,
gosh.
This is a Nicholas Sparks movie.
But then because all Nicholas Sparks movies, they happen on the in South Carolinas. We went to North Carolina because all of a sudden our good friend Damon Aragon, he reached out to me and he was like, hey, you like country music? You like Thomas Rhett, right? And so I was like, yeah. He's like, there's a concert in North Carolina for $30. You want to go? So the concert's $30, but we're going to fly all the way over there and pay for a hotel that is going to cost way more than $30 to go out there. Anyways, we did it. And Sione's goal, one of his big bucket lists, is to go to every state in the U.S. And he hadn't gone to North Carolina. So I was like, hey, Sione, you want to come with us?
Perfect.
Yeah. And it was the first time for both of us to like actually travel. Like I had traveled to someplace, but like none of us had traveled like together with the other person. And so we were really nervous, but we were so chill with each other. You know, like I loved being around him. He was like my best friend. We could joke. We had like incredible, like, you know, we had a lot of, what is the word I'm trying to find?
Chemistry?
A lot of chemistry. Yes. We have a lot of chemistry.
You didn't take math class together, but you had chemistry. Let's go.
So yeah, it was
science book number 3, chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry.
So you went to Thomas Rhett, and is
yeah.
this? Is this?
Is
Thomas Rhett responsible for your baby? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, he is. North Carolina is responsible for my child.
Thomas
but
Rhett, baby,
okay, this
last
is
night.
key. This is really but this is really key to my story because we hadn't done anything and that happened, right? Okay, we all know how babies come from. Great, I'm happy. Everybody knows.
It's a stork or whatever, that swan that delivers it, right?
They come from the little storks. They come.
Yeah,
I put it in order.
He came to the Thomas Rhett concert. Yeah, Amazon delivered it.
Came. Yep.
2-day shipping.
But it was actually like immediately after we came back from the Thomas Rhett concert, and I've been in tons of relationships where you know sex was a part of it, and it never worked out. And for me, being Catholic, I always like they, you know, raise you on like wanting to, you know, save that for marriage. Yeah. And I just knew I came back from the summer and I remember I sat down with him and I said, Sione, like, I think I really like you more than just like somebody I want to like hook up with. And I grew so much over the summer. This would just do a disservice to who I am and who I want to be. You know, I, you know, if you really do like me, like, I would like you to wait for me until we get married, like, or even if you do want to marry me. But I care a lot more for you, more than just like, you know, somebody to like be intimate with. And that was the first time that Sione actually had somebody say that to him too. And that was really important to me. And his response of just utmost respect for who I was and absolutely agreeing with what I said just gave me so much confidence that I was like, wow. And I remember like coming home and like telling my mom, I was like, Mom, I really like think he might be the one. Like, and it really like it was really soon, but I was like, he like really loves me and like doesn't like he loves me, not for all the things I could give him, but like who I was. And so like a month and a half went by and there were like interesting, like fun little like fake things, but we actually like I had missed my entire period the entire time I was like selling, and I had it like once in September. And so I was like, maybe my body's like freaking out. Like I thought I was sick or something. And so a month and a half went by and I was like, okay, like I just like want to know, you know, and I took one and it was like instantly positive. Terrifying. Oh my God. So scary.
And Thomas Rhett, man.
Well, and honestly, we don't really know. Like, we know because of, like, I was like, I'm assuming that's, like, probably when it happened, you know?
Had to have been.
Yeah.
One of those situations where it's like, it's likely. Yeah.
But when I had, like, told him, we actually found out right before we went to fall ball. And so I'm, like, getting in the car.
So this is, like, October.
Yeah. This is like the beginning of November. I was like, oh, my God.
Hold on. May Japan asshole says he peace out.
Mm-hmm.
August, you have a scary situation. There's a whole different story that we haven't talked about yet, ponytail in the middle. And now you find out you're going to be a mom in October. What a wonderful event of 4 months. Like, not, and by wonderful, I mean just like full of wonder. Like, not like, wow. Like,
a big old
roller coaster.
Yes. So,
wow.
It was so scary. But it's like one of those
This
things like you
is
can't control what you can't
wild.
control. I mean, honestly, that is such a motto for life. I hate to say it, but in that moment, I was terrified for what my parents were going to
Your folks,
say,
yeah.
what my family was going to say, and that was always something that I like never wanted to have happen. And I remember telling him in that same conversation when I was like, hey, I want to like save this. I was like, the person who I want to have a kid with is the person who I want to marry, and like, I don't want to like be messing around with that, So in that, but it was actually a God moment. Like
boy.
I'll share my God moment on this story because it's really beautiful. There's a song that is called Unplanned by Matthew West. And it talks about just the beauty of life and that like, if you really trust in the Lord's plan, there's nothing unplanned. Like if you really believe in God and like what he has planned for you, like lean into that, like God is not a dictator. He doesn't have this life stretched out for you. You make a choice and then he is going to reveal himself to you and he's going to guide you with whatever is going on in your life, And so I remember like sitting in my kitchen crying my eyes out because I'm like, I don't know what is going to happen. Like I was so excited to do Southwestern again. I was so excited to sell books. Like I was like devastated that I couldn't sell books from like how awesome my summer was.
The due date didn't add up there for you then. Yeah, not good.
Yeah. Because I was like, because then I'm like in my mind, I'm like, I could have this kid or like maybe I would be in my second trimester. Maybe I could still like do an adjusted schedule. Like I was really trying to make it happen.
Go out, knock on doors, and be like, "Hi, are you the mom of the house?" I'm about to be.
I
was the one.
I was like, and because in my mind, I was like, I want to be like one of the first. I said, like, Shane, like, I will, like, just send me out in March, like, send me out in May. Like, I'll just go out and sell in May. Like, I was like determined, and everyone was like,
committed. But hold on. So, at what point did you guys go, we're doing this? Because you were talking about your God moment. So then.
So my God moment, in that moment, I was like, okay, like if I truly believe in God and that he has a plan for me, this baby was meant to be, whether it was now, whether it was later. Mm-hmm. And so truthfully, like I need, like in a funny way, like God kind of gave me a hint at who I was supposed to be with, like into my mind. Like I was like, if he's supposed to be like, haha, but Sione and I like took like a week to kind of like digest everything. And it was wild because I remember like I had just taken this test and then like a couple hours later I was getting in the car with a whole bunch of Southwestern people driving to Nebraska. And I'm sitting here like, none of you fuckers know what is going on in my life right now. And like we didn't tell anybody for like a couple weeks, like we told my parents when they came back from Mexico and they were really supportive. Surprisingly, they were like, we just want you guys to know that, like, they just really wanted to know that we were going to be committed to one another for this child, initially, because we weren't engaged yet, it's like backwards. And my parents kind of understand the situation. They had been dating for a couple of years and then they got pregnant with me on their engagement night. So they kind of understood the whole, like, before they could sympathize and empathize with us with like not doing it the right way,
I see.
But it's been
they were saints who remembered being bishops. Yes. I understand.
And Sione told me, like, when we like found out and everything, like we have grown because we got pregnant. I think we had to take a lot of things a lot more seriously, but because we really love each other so much and are really committed to one another, that we had to kind of grow up a little bit faster in our relationship. And when Sione proposed in January, last January, so about a year ago. I know. And I made it so hard for him to propose to me because I just wanted to go home. And he was like, no, we're going to go to Horsetooth in the middle of the night. Like, oh my God.
We're going to go to Chipotle.
Cool. Yeah. No, it was Chiba Hut this time. But I love it. It was funny. So, and I even went to Sizzler, my first Sizzler, and nobody knew I was pregnant. And I had to be sober and pretend to be drinking the whole time. If anybody's been on Sizzler, like I even remember walking around with Aisha and with Amy and being like, I could do this. Like they have kids here. Like I can do this. And I remember like talking to them and like, it was just such like a quiet thing. But I was pregnant when I went to Sizzler, which was crazy.
Whoa, that's a trip.
So
That's
I'm glad that
wild.
I got to do Sizzler, and I left my baby at home this time, and I got to have like a Sizzler kind of experience.
I understand. And now you can do Bizzler.
Oh, it's gonna get even more rowdy.
Let's go. Wow.
But
Congratulations on being a
thank
mom,
you.
though.
Honestly,
So
it's
cool.
I've always wanted to be a mom. I mean, my emotional purpose when I was selling books was always like for my future kids. So
Yeah.
they showed up sooner than later. So
That's so wonderful. And boy or girl? I don't know if you
it's a
mentioned.
little boy. His name's
It's a little boy.
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Or
Little Z
Zeke. Are
man.
you gonna call him Zeke?
I call him Z, and then we call him Zeke boy. And so apparently his middle name is Beta, but it looks like Ezekiel Peta 2I. And the first thing that our DSL Shane said to us when we told everybody the name is, you named your child after 2 types of bread, right? Ezekiel bread and pita bread. I was like, I did not know that. It was like both named after like our fathers. Like,
you could be like, let's get this bread.
Yeah.
That's epic.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
When's the wedding?
It is in March. It's coming up here in like less than 50 days.
Ah, got it. I'm not invited. That's all good. I'm not going to take that personally. We only just met today.
You can come to the after party. We're going to have an after party event, I'm sure.
Colorado?
Oh, obviously.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to show you something. Here we go. Amy, can you throw this up? Boom.
That is poor guy. I wish my son had more hair like that. He does not have hair like that. We keep laughing. He's got like an old man haircut.
But this could be him. Just
hey, can you send that to the printer and then I'll put it on my child and he can be in here for the mom and child podcast?
That's absolutely. You can purchase this for $31.
Perfect.
There you go.
Book baby.
Let's go. Go check out our merch. If you guys are listening only, we have a Book Baby onesie that you can buy on our website. Go to the ponytailspodcast.com, or you can click the link below where it says check out our merch, and I'll take you to our store. There you go. There's a quick plug. Oh man. All right, Brynn, we're gonna do a segment called rapid fire questions. We should call it something else, something horse related. Amy, let's think about this. Maybe we call it like the horse race. I don't know. We do everything here. Everything here is horse themed. Everything on the show, like our sponsors are called Jockeys. Our newsletter is called The Colt. Right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. We just released a thing called The Neighborhood, which is
I saw that.
Did you see that? Yeah. So if you guys haven't heard, go check it out. The Neighborhood. We're building a tree like ancestry.com. But for book people, go fill out the link. There's a link below. You can also check that out. It's called The Neighborhood. And you can keep up with the updated tree every Sunday on our Facebook group that we're creating for it. So more details on that to come. For now, just fill out the form if you want to get into the tree. Okay, but anyway, rapid fire questions. Now, some of these aren't going to be applicable since you only had the one summer. So I'll just, because for example, one of them's like favorite HQ, but it's like, well, it's probably just the one HQ that you had. So I'll skip some of these, but some of these will still apply. So for example, favorite territory that you sold in as far as like whether it was like country, big brick, trailer parks, what was your favorite place to sell?
I want to say trailer parks.
Let's go. I like country. Everybody,
it's like I like wanted to say country, but also trailer parks. But it's like the community aspect and also just like the constant. And I love the drives, but they were more peaceful for me. And I didn't get as many I didn't see as many people when I did country.
It's true. Did you have a favorite advanced sales? Did you listen to advanced sales? And if you did you have a favorite one?
No, I actually never listened to it.
Fair enough. That's all good. Favorite product to sell?
The kids books all the way. Early learning library. I've got it downstairs in my basement for my baby.
You should. He's an early learner. Ezekiel's an early learner.
Heck yeah, he is.
Best sales day. And this doesn't necessarily mean that you had like a big unit day, although it could be just like your favorite sales day, funniest thing that happened or something like that. What was your best sales day?
My best sales day was the first day that I dropped my diamond package. Was in this like massive house. It was
Let's
so
go.
cool.
Is
Because
that
I
what
just
they
like
call the bag now? The diamond package is what they call
Yeah,
the bag, or pretty
the
much?
bag.
Yeah, okay.
The only thing that they didn't get was the like biblical
Family Bible
Bible,
library.
the family
Yeah.
Bible library. Yeah, they didn't. I don't think they got that, but I just liked it because I just like went into it with like so much confidence, knowing that they were gonna buy. Because I'd like met like the daughter, and they both lived in these massive mansions, like in the middle of nowhere. And this mom like walked me through her entire house of like what they purchased, like the shower that has like different settings and lights and like heatings and different settings, and the song plays music, and this is where my Pringles are, and this is where my guns and arrows are. Like it was nuts. But it was just like a really crazy day because I was like, wow, like I don't care if I'm here for an hour and a half. I just dropped like a diamond. I feel so great. And it made me really happy.
It's a great feeling.
I want to say a follow-up to that was actually another diamond package that I dropped in a trailer park for a family, and they all went in on it. And I actually got a sponsor to help sponsor the other half of their payments. So for somebody else to pay it. And they paid it all the way up until December of last year. And I kept in contact with them, and they split up into 9 payments, and they got all their books.
That's crazy. That's pretty sick.
It was really nuts because like they had like the sponsor, and then they were like all paying one aunt, and they all were splitting it and committed to like one thing. And oh my gosh, this family was like had so much shit going on. And like It was amazing that they really pulled through, but it like made me so happy that they got all their books.
That's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I love that. Damn, that's such a cool, like good feel story. Like, ooh, it just.
I had another one tell me that I was an angel because I came back and she cried and told me her like she missed like needed. I had a couple really good, like I knew that I like helped like families like deeply on a deeper level than just like here's some products. Like I touched their hearts.
Yeah, you gotta love those. Those are the ones that stick with you. Those are the ones you're like, wow, this is what this is about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chills. I love that. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna buckle in because I feel like it's time for the ponytail.
Here it goes.
I think we're gonna need that as a soundbite. We're gonna need that.
What, my nay?
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm ready for it. Gosh, I do that all day long with my son. I feel like I'm an expert.
All right. Oh my gosh. You got some talent. Here we go. All right. I'm a book. I know it's coming. I know it's coming, but I don't know the full details. I saw what you wrote. So, okay. Oh man, this is going to be, we haven't had one of these in a while, I think.
All right. Let me put you in Louisiana.
Yeah.
We are moving we're in the same parish, but I need to move to a different town. Oh. And this is my first town.
Hold on, time out. Sorry. Do you want to take a cheers to this? Because I feel like this is just a cheers. Sorry to interrupt. Here we go. Cheers. I'm going to finish this whiskey. This is like a shot in here.
I need a little bit of sipping room for finishing that after the story. Okay.
I understand. Okay. Sorry to interrupt. I just feel like
you need it.
We need to.
I appreciate it because I like what I went through. Like honestly, really does deserve a cheers. Okay, so pretty much as I mentioned in this podcast, I haven't had a 0 day the entire summer. Okay, and I've been working mostly in impoverished areas. Everybody knows who I am. Like I'm literally legendary in this town, and I'm loving doing my job. I move into a more wealthier area, okay? And this is like week of, like this is like right before 4th of July. So this is week before 4th of July. This is pretty key to my story. And so it's kind of like halfway through the summer, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, like I haven't had a bad day, and I'm in this new territory, and nothing is happening for me. Like nobody knows me, like nobody's buying from me. And it honestly was like pissing me off. Like I was starting to like have a bad attitude for like a while, because I was just like, I just want something good to come out of this day. And I remember earlier on, like the week before on a Sunday meeting, like we talked a lot about like manifestation, and like if you want to manifest something, like it's gonna happen, you know.
That's right.
So and like one of my student leaders was like, I always wanted like a really cool sweatshirt or like something really cool from their house, so I like would just ask for it, you know, and like I would get it. I should have asked, but I didn't. So anyways, but I was going through the neighborhood and I was like kind of going around, and I stopped at this house and it had like a totally disastrous, like, you know, front yard in this like nice neighborhood. And I knocked on the door. Nobody was home. I left my little like card left,
Yep.
come back around, and I knock on the door, and it sounds like I was like, I'm just in it for the demo. And they were kind of doing the like behind the door, like just this much, like, you know, in there, just barely opening it for me. And I'm trying to get in. I'm like, hey, like, just so you know what I'm doing, like, this is what I'm showing. And I show them the book and I'm going really fast. And they're like, no, thanks. Like, I don't think we're going to do it. And they were kind of laughing behind the door. So I felt like I was definitely being made fun of or something. And so then they closed the door. And without thinking, I turned around and I saw this really cool LSU visor on the ground. And I was like, I want something good to come out of this day. And I like visors. Without thinking, I just like ran and picked it up and got in my car. And I was like, instantly. Okay. Like I got it, and I have been like homies this entire summer. And so instantly when I get in this car, I just am overcome with so much guilt. I'm like out loud, I'm like, what the fuck did you just do? Like, you just took something. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, this is too awkward. Like, just drive away. Just get out. Like, they probably didn't even see. Just get out. Like, you were pretty smart about like leaving this. So I just left. I left. And then I continued on with my day. And I'm like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Like, you're not even going to go back down that street. They're an ex. Like, they're not interested. It's okay. And I make a sale at another house. And as I'm like, it's like toward the end of the night, I make a sale, and it's toward like the end. I think I like start noticing my Facebook, and all of a sudden I see comments on my Facebook saying, this sticky bitch steals stuff from people's houses. And I'm like, what? And so then I go on there and I'm like looking, and this like person, like these people are like commenting on my like post, and they're like, she steals shit. She steals shit. Like, watch out. Like, did she steal something from you? Like, is commenting, and I'm freaking out. I'm just going through and like deleting all the comments off my Facebook. I'm like, I'm not letting this affect my PR. Like, no. And then I have them direct message me on there, and they're like, we saw you. We have the footage. Like, we're reporting you to the police. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I am so sorry. And all I said was, I'm so sorry for the misunderstanding. Tell the family I will be back there tomorrow to return the hat. That's all I said. And I was like, okay. Like that's all I can do. And I remember like telling Sione on my stack, I'm like, Sione, I did something really fucking stupid. And like I tell him, he's like, Brynn, like, why'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I have no idea, like stupid compulsion. And then, so he's like, okay, all you can do is what you can do. Like, you can't control how they're going to respond. So I'm like walking through in my head. I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to go straight to their house right in the morning. So next day comes around, it's Thursday, drive out to the same place. And it's about an hour and a half from my HQ. So I had to get up super fucking early to get there, like, and be able to like start on time. And so I get there and I knock on the door, and I just was like, okay, I'm going to like just take the hat and I'm going to leave my backpack. Like, I don't want to be like intimidating or anything. Like, I just knock on the door. They don't answer. And then I knock on the door again and I ring the doorbell, because I'm like, I'm not fucking leaving until they answer the door and I give this hat and I like forgive and like ask for forgiveness. And so somebody opens the door, and I think it was probably like, he probably was like a high school kid, like 18, like almost out of high school, just seemed like old, but wasn't like the adult or like the parent of the house. And I knew that since they caught me on camera, that they were going to see me on the camera already, like again. So I was like very aware of this. I'm like, I don't even know where the camera is, but it's here somewhere. And so I like told the family, I was like, hey, my name's Brynn. Like, you know, I was here yesterday and I took this visor from you. I have no excuse why I took this visor. I'm just here to return it. And I'm really sorry that you had a bad experience with me. I really love the community that, this is. And I'm just really sorry you had a bad experience. I've been loving working here. All I can do is ask for your forgiveness. And I'm really sorry I took this from you. And so they were like, yeah, that's fine. And like, I was like, yeah. I said, are your parents home? And I can't remember like off the top of my head if they were, I don't think they were there or anything, but I said, please let your parents know that I came by and I returned the hat and I apologize. I put the hat on the like grill that could be seen. Like I didn't even hand it to them. I just like put it there, like, 10 steps back, protecting my own space, put it there and walked away. And I'm like, okay, like that's all you could do. Like it's done. You're out of this, drove away. And you use your like community to like help you out in like all the ways. Like, do you need water? Do you need food? Do you need a contact in this way? And XYZ. And I sit down with this family and I actually like, turns out that this woman, I'm having a great sit down with her. Like she's a really chill mom. Like we're talking and I hear that she actually works in networking and PR. Like she deals with bad PR. And I was like, hey, do you have like any advice, for like bad PR? I'm kind of dealing with stuff right now. There was like there's a miscommunication with like me taking a hat and yada, yada, yada. And part of this like huge thing about like growing up is like accepting ownership and knowing that you're not always going to look good. Okay. Like sometimes you do dumb shit and it's just dumb shit. And like, you don't have to make yourself look good, And I think
you fucked up.
Yeah,
we talked about
fucked up.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy.
On a note from I'm trying to think like if I was looking into this and for people who are listening who might be like, hey, this actually, I want to learn more about this. What's the barrier to entry? Like maybe I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, that sounds cool, but I don't know shit about insurance. Like why would I want to go talk to people?
Yeah, the barriers to entry, I think, are really pretty low. Everybody would probably have a different opinion, but in terms to just be able to get out the door and go sell, you've got to get a license. I have my life and health license because you needed the health license at Family Heritage, or if you want to sell Medicare products or certain types of health products,
Right.
You have to have the health side. But what it takes to get either one or both of those licenses is roughly the same. You take a study course. You may need to study for 15 hours. You may need to study as many as 30 hours. But like with Cardinal, we've got a pretty cool course. From studying to getting your license can be as quick as like 7 to 10 days if you really 15 to 20 if you're moving at a medium pace. And beyond that, if it takes you longer than that, you're just not really all that motivated to start because it's not a difficult process.
Yo, let's get off schedule one last time. Go watch a movie, or maybe you should figure out how to work at EnLight.Energy. Alex Black is crushing it down there, and a former DSM, Julio Hernandez, are both running this company. And man, they are cranking 10 people on their team and growing. It's enough that Alex only has to sell like one thing every other week and make over 6 figures. So if you want to learn more about that and maybe help change the planet, click on the link below. That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show.
Sometimes people fuck up. And
yes. And
okay,
it might be so dumb, but it was like a huge moment for me because I was like completely trying to make myself look good in the eyes of everybody else. Like I'm trying to like recover, but I wasn't completely taking ownership of the whole situation. Okay. And so I was like, saying, hey, like, it was by the trash can. I thought it was going to be thrown out and I took it, like it was, and I was trying to just like make it sound like to like work with this woman. And she was like, this woman was like, you know what, I'll see what I can do to help, yada, yada. And I'm like, thank you so much. Like, really appreciate it. Turns out, and she had given me all these contacts to like reach out to people in the community because I was in a new turf. Like nobody really knew me out there. So I was trying to like get my footing. And I'm going throughout the day and I get a message from this woman through Facebook. And she said, please do not contact any of the people I sent you. I spoke to the family from your Facebook that this incident happened, and they showed me the footage, and it doesn't look good for you. They said that they are going to file a report to the police. And I freaked out, and I have never been off schedule. Like, truthfully, like, I will say, like, maybe I sat in the car like a little too long sometimes, but I was about to, like, I started freaking out, and it was Mom's week too. And I started driving. I was like, oh my God, my mom would be so mad at me. So I started driving, but anytime like something really scary happened, I always found myself driving to a church. Okay. So I was like driving, and all of a sudden I just like pulled over because I didn't want to like leave. I didn't want to end my day because I was scared because I committed to doing this. But I like pulled over. I didn't use my phone. I used my massive ass iPad to like call my parents. I'm like, I'm not using my phone, loophole, you know? So I like called my mom, and I'm crying. And I was like, Mom, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm in a lot of trouble right now. Like, I think I'm gonna, like, I told her this, like, the whole situation with maybe being a police report, like, I stole a hat, yada, yada, yada. And my parents were like, Brynn, like, why'd you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I was having a bad day. Like, I wanted something good to come out of it. Anyways, but then she was like, what is the worst thing that could happen? Like, they're not going to send you to jail for this, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And so then I was like, either like, Brynn, just finish your day. It'll be okay. And I was like, all right. So I continued on with my day and went into that same neighborhood because I was like, I'm not going to let my fear determine if these people in this neighborhood see these books. You know, I was like, I'm just going to avoid at all costs, like drive really fast past like their house so they can't see me. And then I like brought it up to like other people in the neighborhood. They're like, people in Louisiana are like nuts, you know? So like, these are other people that I'd have sit downs with. And I was like, this is crazy. So I finished with the day. It's Friday, started the next day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Friday. And it's like holiday weekend. Like, everybody's going to have like Friday off. Everybody's going to be home. And we were told that we could start over from the first place that we were, like the first neighborhood we went to, because now we know how to do the job better. So you're going to gravy through that entire area, and it's a day full of gravy. So I went into the very first neighborhood, my happy neighborhood that I love being in. And I was going through, having a great day. I made like a full payment order on a couple books with this old grandma starting off right at 10 a.m. And I was like, sweet, I didn't zero out. Awesome. And so then I'm like going back through, and all of a sudden I see this house that had a whole bunch of kid stuff in front of it. And I was like, how did I miss this house? Like, I didn't knock on the door. And there's also a sheriff cart in front of it. And in my mind, I'm like, Brynn, like, you are not, like, I am not going to let like my fear get in the way of like serving these people. Like, I really believed our like products were really like out there because I had those experiences with those families. So I was like, no, I don't know what's going on here. I want the kids to have the opportunity to see these books. And I'm homies with a ton of cops in the area. Like, this would be awesome. Plus, I had already filed a police report because all of the cash from my entire business was stolen the week before out of my car. So $2,600 was stolen for all the cash that parents had given me. So I was already like $2,600 in debt and had to make it up at that point. And I was like, this is going to be a good week. And then this shit happened. So I'm like, so I was like, yeah, I already am in good standings. Like, people at the like police station already know me. Like, it's fine. Like, I can make connections if like, because this guy's a police officer. And we're about 35 minutes from the town where this hat incident happened. Anyways, I knock on the door. This nice gentleman comes to the door, and he's super chill. And I'm like, hey, like, my name is Brynn. I'm with Southwestern Advantage. You know, have you heard about me? And I go through my approach, and I said, you know, could I show it to you? Yada, yada, yada. I don't remember the sales script anymore. But but then he was like, yeah, hold on. Let me go grab my wife. She's in the tub. And she loves this stuff. Closes the door and goes inside. And I'm like, okay, well, he's either going to go in there and like no show me, or like he's going to come out with her. Either one, like, I'll stay here for a couple minutes. He comes back out. She's not there. So I'm like, oh, he's like, sorry, she was in the bathtub. Like, it's just not going to work right now, but I can sit down with you right here in the carport. And so I'm walking through like the entire script, like I'm nailing it. This guy is like so into it. And I was so convinced he was a buyer. All of a sudden, I look up and there's 2 policemen walking up the driveway. And I'm in my head, I'm like, they're either here to arrest me or they're either here because they're buddies with their cop friend.
Of course.
Totally, you know? And
Checks
so
out.
I'm just the book kid. I'm just the book girl, you know? So they come over and I like wave over to them like, hey guys, welcome to book club. That's what I would always say when random people would come into my sit downs because I've got books everywhere.
That's
I was
great.
like, hey guys, welcome to book club. And I'm like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, the guy who I'm having the sit down with goes, ma'am. Ma'am, were you at this like 343 in like White Villa Road in like this town 2 days ago? I said, take a deep breath. I'm like, yes. They're like, do you know the incident we're referring to? And I said, yes, I do. I took a visor from this property. And he's like, yes, I am the cop who's been investigating your case. I knocked on the door of the sheriff who was investigating the case that apparently was filed against me.
Oh my fucking God.
And I skipped over the house.
No way.
Yes, way. So this little snitch went into the house to go call his cop buddies to stall me to get his cop friends over because he was off duty.
What an asshole.
The story continues because I'm like, okay, Brynn, it's okay. And I said, like, yes, I do know what you're talking about. I said, and they said, yes, and we have a warrant out for your arrest. And I said, what? I said, sir, like, I do know what you're talking about. I said, but I actually returned the hat to the family yesterday and I apologized. So if there's video footage of me taking the hat, there is video footage of me returning the hat as well. And the officer telling me that he had a warrant out for my arrest was like, what? Like, so confused. And he was like, well, ma'am, we have to fulfill the warrant. There's nothing I can do about it right now. So you have to come with us. And I was like, oh my God. Cool. I was like, holy shit. Okay, I'm getting arrested. And he was like, ma'am, is there anything that you need to like, he's like, we're going to need to move your car. Because I pulled into the driveway, like right close. That's how they trained us to do it. Like pull right on in. And I'm over here like, oh, I can move it for you. And they're like, no, you're going to have to give us the keys. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because I could get in the car and drive away. Like
you could be a flight risk. Yeah.
But I didn't like think of that. And then he's like, is there anything else that you need out of your car? And I'm like, yeah, my book bag. Because my book bag is my life. You know, that's what we were trained. So I was like,
this is my book bag. There are many others like it, but this one is mine.
I need my book bag. And so I like went in, grabbed my book bag, and I like grab out like some tiny little things from my car and like just taking like my keepsakes.
Trey's phone number.
I'm like, okay, here's like all the things that I need, right? And so I put them in my backpack and he's like, and I like had this stuff on and they're like, ma'am, like we're gonna need you to take off all your jewelry. And give us your hat. So I had to take off like all of my like ironic. I always had rings on.
Give us your hat.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I have horrible hat hair right now. I'm like, I haven't washed my hair in like 3 days, you know, so I'm like taking off everything and I'm having to put everything away in my backpack. And they handcuffed me. They did the full-blown handcuff and put me in the back of the car. And while all this is going on, like, I'm like, I was breathing. I was like, it's going to be okay. Like, stay calm. Like, it's okay. Like, and I said, okay, God, like, what are you calling me to do today? Like, every day during the summer, I was like, okay, today's might be different, but what are you calling me to do? Like, I'm out here doing good. So what am I called to do? And all I could hear was, I'm calling you to love these people. Like, show them who you truly are. Like, who are you? Like, I'm calling you to love these people. So I get in the back of the car and we also were trained to self-talk, right? Keep up our positive attitude.
That's right.
I'm in the back seat of this like car, right? Handcuffed. I'm over here like, wow, I'm in the back of a vehicle. That's really cold. Like they're cranking that AC a lot. And I'm just talking to myself. Like I sound like a maniac, but I'm just talking to myself, like making myself like entertained and like honestly cracking myself up. So I'm just like, this is going to make for a killer ass story. You know, I'm just like self-talking in the car, like
I'm
literally.
going to tell this in a podcast someday.
Yeah, I didn't even know this thing existed, but here it is. This is what it was meant for. And
Wait, it was the summer of 2021?
Yeah.
Oh, we were around.
Yeah. I think I'd heard about it, but I didn't know what it was.
This is going to be great on ponytails. I hope some kid gets arrested this next summer going, this is going to be great on ponytails.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I hope so too. Because like the only thing that honestly was getting me through was that like I was going to be legendary for the story. Because like,
oh yeah, anytime you get handcuffed, it's great because you never. I mean, in your case, you kind of did something wrong. Kind of, you fucked up, but you made up for it, and it was okay. But like when like Run Alfred, Brandon Q, we've had some arrest stories, and it's like it's gonna be fine. Like
it's gonna be like, but that was the thing. I was like, oh my gosh, like this was like shit was getting real. Like like I'm in handcuffs.
I mean, it's scary. It's scary, but it's gonna be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, this is like me. Like I'm still in the mode of like it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Like totally positive. Like. And then this guy gets in the car, and I honestly treated my ride to like in this cop car like an Uber ride. Like I instantly start talking to the officer. I'm like, like thank you so much. Like this is really like I don't even remember what I said, but I do remember like halfway there. I'm like, so can you tell me like exactly what's gonna happen? Because all I know about like crime stuff or anything is what I see on like Netflix shows, like verbatim.
So how long have you been doing this?
Yeah.
But you asked the Uber. Has it been busy day?
So how was your day today? Like, oh my gosh. And then this guy goes, well, we're going to take you to the jailhouse. And in my mind, I'm like, oh shit, we're going to the jailhouse. Like, we're going to the jailhouse. This is not just like in the office. Like, I don't get like a slap on my wrist. I'm like, okay. He's like, yes, we're going to take you to the jailhouse, and then we're going to get you all checked in. We're going to get you booked, and then the judge is going to see your case, and then we're going to post bail, and then we'll see, like, we'll take it from there. But it's a Friday. It's a Friday. Let me, like, put that out there.
On 4th of July weekend.
The judge only sees cases at noon at her lunch break. It is 10:30 right now. It's 10:30. And I am not even in the system yet. And so part of this like whole like surrender, like I have to be so nice to these people. So they like hurry it along and are not assholes to me because I need to be booked in really fast because my fate rests in like in these people or I would be in jail for the rest of the weekend and everyone would think I quit because I wouldn't be there for Sunday meeting because you can't post bail during the weekend. Fun fact. And so we get there, we pull into the back and this guy's like helping like this other person out. Like I'm handcuffed and we go to like, he's like, okay, like we're going to take the elevator. And I'm like, why are we taking the elevator? Like in this internship, I only take the stairs. I only do hard stuff. I'm over here like, I'm just going to make this guy laugh. And he laughed and he thought it was really funny. And then we like got in the elevator and I'm like quiet, like handcuffed. Like this guy's holding my book bag. He's like a big buff handsome police officer. I'm like, okay. We get in there and all of a sudden like the big doors come in.
Those are the handcuffs you want.
Yeah. Yes, you do. But this big like jail door like goes across and like we're in jail.
You were arrested.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, this is hilarious because the people that work there instantly were like, hold on a second. Aren't you the book girl? And I was like, yes, I am. And they're like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I took something that didn't belong to me. And they were like, honey, why'd you do that? And so like instantly I made friends because they all knew who I was. Right?
That's like, fucking hilarious.
And so then they're like, okay, well, we're going to have to put you in a cell. And then they open up the cell. And as they open up the cell, they're like, oh, wait, it hasn't been cleaned. There's still blood in there. We're going to put her in here. We're going to put her in this office. Like the door can't even close. Like it's around like everything. Like, I'm like, what is happening?
There's still blood in there.
So I'm sitting in the office and like they left and like this woman is like taking information and she's like, what are you in here for? And I told her I stole a hat and she's like, this is fucking stupid. Like she was like, this is really dumb. I'm really sorry you're having to go through this, but yeah, I guess we're here. And then they all leave me and I'm in there and I'm like talking to myself. I'm like, okay, what's the problem? Name 3 positives. And I'm like talking through myself. I'm like, well, it's really rainy outside. I'll get rained on. I'm really fucking tired. So maybe I'll take a nap.
Yeah.
I could potentially, like, maybe God's calling me to pray more because I haven't been like really intentional. So those are 3 things that I'm going to do. So
Also,
I'm probably going to
clearly
do
my PR is great. It's working well because everyone here thinks I'm awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's a great one. I didn't even think of that. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I didn't even think of that. Now that makes me feel better. In the situation past. But anyways, we get to we're like past. I'm in there and like honestly, I'm like, these people are thinking that I'm crazy. I get booked, I get all my fingerprints, I get my picture taken, I've got a mugshot out there somewhere. And then they put me in this room, and it wasn't until they brought a tray of food out for me that I was like, shit, this is prison food. Like, I'm in here for a minute. Like, this isn't just like a break. Like, that was when I actually got nervous. Was not like getting handcuffed, put in the back of the car, getting booked. It was when I got my prison food that I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be here all day. And so I get in this room. I have a little mat, a grate in the ground, and a blanket. I don't even have a toilet.
Did you eat?
I had the cinnamon cake. Remember those cinnamon cakes from like those little, from like, yeah, I had one of those cinnamon cakes. Another positive of the day. But
so
they
tell
had
me,
really
cinnamon cake from school, from public schools, is the same that prisoners get. Wow,
Yeah.
There's the statement right there.
I know.
Well, there you go, Louisiana, or
There you
the
go.
U.S. Department of Education. Okay. Anyway, so you had a little filter to go poop and pee.
Yeah, but I was like, there's no way in hell I'm doing that. No. So
Sexy. Just
yeah,
talk
right.
about
It was
talk about
it was
sexy.
not sexy. No. And I was like, no. And so it made me sad because I was like, this sweet tea is so good, but I don't have anywhere to go to the bathroom, and I will not lose my dignity over this grate. Like, no, and absolutely not. But then as I was sitting in there, I was like, okay, well, like, it was cold and you don't have your phone. And that was the first time where you're like, you have nothing to do. Like, I've never like been in a place where like you don't have any source of entertainment. And like I was sitting there and I'm like, wow, okay. Like, imagine just utter silence and then having some meth addict like detoxing and then like cell next to you. Like, it was just wild. And I was like, this is crazy. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, like, God, like, I'm here. What do you want me to do? And so I was just like, you know what? One of the biggest lessons that we learn in Southwestern is hurt people hurt people. How sad is it that this family had nothing better to do other than to like file a police charge against like some girl that took a visor off their porch and returned it, you know?
Fuck the Louisiana Tigers. I'm just kidding.
What the fuck? It was an LSU hat. Sad. Anytime I see LSU, it's like trauma all over again.
It's that purple and gold, baby.
I know, baby.
Joe Burrow hurts.
Yeah, so I instantly, like, honestly, like, I sat down and I actually prayed for the family because I was like, what is going on? And I like sat there and I was just praying for them because I was like, you know what, like, there's something to be said here. And I had to like, what else am I going to do for my time other than pray for myself? Like, you know, I'm going to focus on them. And all of a sudden I dozed off at one point and I woke up and I was getting a cellmate. Her name is Gloria. She had a little ponytail on top of her head, probably was like 50 years old, looked to be about 70 for probably the amount of drugs that she had done in her past. And
glorious.
Instantly, another one, I literally was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. But again, I heard God say, like, I'm calling you to love. So, you know what I said? So what they put you in here for?
Classic. Chewing your gum. What are you in
Like,
for?
what are you in here for? And it was wild because she wasn't supposed to even be in there either because she believed that she was being set up and like she wasn't even from this parish and like her charges had been dropped and like they still arrested her and put her in jail and she's like, nobody knows me over here and nobody's gonna post my bail, you know, so I'm gonna be stuck here. So I like felt really bad because I was like, oh my gosh, like you are really stuck. And like I really understood like the prison system and kind of like how tough it is. Like if you really don't have anybody out there like you're kind of stuck.
You're screwed.
You're kind of screwed. And that's terrifying. So it was wild because then like we started talking and I asked her about her life and I asked her about her like family and like she had kids and like she had struggled with drugs and she just kept telling me to get the fuck out of Louisiana. Like I was like, yeah. I was like,
soon enough, Gloria.
Yeah. I was
Soon
like,
enough.
wow. I know. So then, but then we ended up like at one point she was so cold. I was like, do you want to share this blanket? So like we shared this like wool blanket on this like plastic mat together. So wild. And like we took a nap, but I'm sitting there and then all of a sudden like, and I gave her my bologna sandwich because I didn't want bologna. Like I will not even eat bologna in the prison, never again. But I like lent her all these things and I just felt like I was like loving her in a way that like she hadn't like seen that. And then as I'm sitting there, I start crying because then all of a sudden this other woman gets booked into the cell and she's in like a full-blown jumpsuit and her bail gets denied or her like any of this stuff. So I don't know what she was in, but she was crying. And I'm in this cell with two other women, which is not normal. And I don't know what they did, but I'm in there and I was like, just start crying because I'm like, this is not at all where I'm supposed to be. Like, and this was when shit got real about like, hey, like I'm not always gonna look good. Like, stop cutting out these white lies. Like, you did wrong. Like, claim your ownership. Like, you are so much better than this. You are not supposed to be in jail right now. Like, get your shit together and do better. This is not who you are. And so be the best version of who you are at your core. And so that was like that was the only time I cried like that day in the jail cell because I was just like, this is not like who I am. Like and it's just so wild to me, like, because a year later I was having my son.
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
It's wild, like what happens to a year. But
that wasn't even the craziest thing that happened to you that year, probably. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't know. Like, you got pregnant
like
a couple months later. Like
2021 was like a wild freaking
what a
ride,
year.
man. Oh my gosh. But
so
then they ended up like taking me out and they got me booked. And then I met with the judge, thank God, like virtually. And they were trying to charge me with a felony for burglary, which is pretty intense. And they lady was like, no, I'm going to drop it down to, yeah.
What?
But then they dropped it down to a misdemeanor because I didn't enter into their like house. Like it was like I don't know what it was, but the bail was $800. And mind you, I just had $2,600 stolen from me. So I had to pull that money from the money that I made before the summer, like my own personal money.
Damn.
And it was wild. Yeah, I posted my own bail that day because I was like, I'm not going to call because it has to be in cash, which I didn't know. So I was like, nobody's near me. My host mom is out of town. She's not even there. She can't even come get me. Anna and nobody is on their phone. So I get a phone call and I called Shane. And like in the middle of the day from a first year from a Louisiana number, like, hello, hey Shane, how's it going? He's like, hey Brynn, how's it going? I'm like, not so good. He's like, what's going on? And I was like, I've been in jail all day. And we like walked through like this whole situation. He's like, okay, like, tell me the situation. And I posted my bail and he was like, call me once you get out. I'm like, okay. And it felt so weird. Like when they like let me leave and I had to leave Gloria, it like made me sad because I almost like wanted to go back and post her bail. Like I wanted her to go out with me. Like it was just like really sad for me to like know that like nobody was going to be there to help her. And instantly when I walked out, like it started raining and like, mind you, like my car's like way on the other side of town. And so I'm having to walk everywhere and I had to go to the bathroom so bad because I couldn't pee on the grate or anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to find a convenience store. And I was actually like running around and this guy that I had met, from actually going to like his house saw me like trying to dodge the rain and he pulled over in his truck and he's like, hey, can I take you somewhere to get out of the rain? I was like, thank you. Yeah. Could you take me to a convenience store? I just need to use the restroom. And so like instantly God provided like somebody right there to like take care of me. And I'm like talking to him and like, he doesn't know I just came out of jail, right? And I'm like, drops me off at this convenience store. I walk into this convenience store and they don't have a public bathroom because of all the crime they have in that area. They're like, they don't have anything. And then I run into this really sweet woman that like knew me and just like put a smile on my face. She's like, oh my God, you're such a babe, you know, like giving me compliments. And I'm like trying to keep my positive attitude up. And then as I'm walking out, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go back to the church where like I know that there's a bathroom there because like I had made friends with the priest. So like I could get in when I needed to. And as I'm walking, I'm talking to Shane, and like he just said, Brynn, out of all the first years, I'm really glad that this happened to you because I know you're going to overcome it. You're going to be the first year that's either going to say, this is why I hit my goals, or because I went to jail, I didn't hit my goals. And so I like made it a point. I was like, no, like I made a commitment. It's 7:00. Like I'm going to go to work. Like I committed to this. So I like gathered myself up and I started knocking on doors right after that. But it was when I was knocking on doors that only 3 doors in, this woman pulled up and was like, oh my God, yo, this chick's been in jail. And it was all over because they had booked me. And so it was public that people knew that I had gone to jail. And so as I'm like, they were like, I kind of got chased off that property. Like they were like, you need to get the fuck out of here because like people are going to know and they're going to come for you. Like, because there was not a very good gang press. Like I was almost like friends with a lot of people in the projects, but not in like, they just kind of knew. And so, and I'd been collecting like tons of money from people like all summer in that area. And so everyone knew who I was. And so then I started walking down and people were slowing down in their cars to videotape me as I'm walking down the street. And
you still didn't have your car.
No, I had to walk to get back to my car. And so I felt so unsafe. I like ran over to a police car and I was like, sir, I feel really unsafe in your community. Could you please give me a ride to my car? And as I get in the car, he's like, yeah, is everything okay? And I'm like, I'm going to be honest. I just got out of jail and people are like recording me. Like I'm scared. And he was like, yeah, it's okay. He's like, you know, and was like very calm and not judgmental. And I get in my car and I was like, I can't do it. And that was the only day that I ended early. I like left the bookfield.
But you didn't zero.
I didn't zero that day. I didn't, which was wild. But like I left that, like I called a friend of mine as I was driving and I explained the situation to her and I was like laughing and kind of crying. And she's like, Brynn, you know that you don't have to go out there. Like you went to jail, you got money stolen from you. Like, no, you don't have to be out there. You can come home. And I remember being like, but I committed to being out here and like, what am I going to do? Like quit after like this happened, you know? And I instantly go over to this, like, this in my town, there's this beautiful, there's these beautiful Stations of the Cross, like garden. And I instantly went to the foot of Jesus and I was like, what is going on? And I just felt like horrible. And all I wanted was like, just comfort. And so that's when I reached out to the ex of mine who had blocked me on everything. And he didn't want to speak to me via his friend. And I heard God say like, Brynn, I will not abandon you. And so I like knew everything was going to be okay. Went back to the house and Anna shows up and I'm crying my eyes out. She's like, what happened? I was like, tell her I'm going to jail all day, like crying my eyes out. And it was the same thing. Like Sione called me. I gave him my stats and he just told me like, stop talking. You're going to follow me the next day. And so the next day was my only day that like, I only had 2 follow days in my first summer. And that was like the second one. And the last one I had was when I followed Sione and I followed in like, and it gave me so much time to just like reflect and journal about who I was as a person and why I got to that point and who I want to be going into the next week. And the cool part about the story, even though how wild and insane it was, is that the next 2 weeks, I had to go into a brand new turf, like hours away from the other one. and start a brand new PR. And I was the first person within Olympus, JYD, to hit President's Club the first week out there. And then the second week out, so I hit President's Club back to back in a brand new turf that didn't even know who I was, because I really believed that I was giving everybody the best version of who I was. I was like, this is who I am, and this is where I want to like be, and this is what I'm going to do, you know? And Sione's like best course of like coaching too was like, just imagine, Brynn, like these people, all they had to do was like, all they wanted to do was like file a police report against like a college student who's trying to make money to pay off college loans to like take care of themselves. And pretty soon you already hit Sizzler. So you're going to take all this money, you're going to go to your lake house, you're going to go to Mexico, and these fuckers are going to be here in Louisiana in August when it's the hottest. So screw them, like do this for yourself. And I was like, yeah, you're good. Like you're freaking right, you know? So I like popped off. And the crazy thing was, is then I mentioned I had to go back to Louisiana.
Yeah.
I had to go back to Louisiana for my arraignment hearing, which was them telling me when my court date was. And my court date was the day before Sizzler.
Oh.
And so I had to fly all the way down to Louisiana, go to court, drive all the way back, fly from Louisiana back to Denver, and then Denver to Cancun.
What a way to start.
Yeah. I was like, wow. And
so you got off free?
Up,
like did you drop the charges or what happened?
Yeah. So, and I found out through like talking to my lawyer that it wasn't the family that actually charged, like filed the police report. It was all their friends that were harassing me on Facebook that filed the police report for them. And then when I got up to like do the hearing and everything, the judge dropped all the charges. So I walked away scot-free.
But with a new friend in Gloria. Bless her heart, wherever she may be.
I know. Hopefully she's not there, but here still.
In Louisiana.
Yes.
Or maybe somewhere better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my freaking Louisiana. And it was crazy because when I went back to Louisiana, I brought my dad to be there for the arraignment hearing with me. And it was cool because I just got to walk around in that area, in that town again, because I loved Mansfield. I loved it. And people knew who I was, and I like made family friends. And it was crazy because when I went back to deliver stuff, when I delivered stuff during the projects, and they were like, so tell us, you know, why'd you go to jail? And like people knew, and even like people kept their orders with me because they knew and trusted who I was, like that version of myself.
Trusted your character. That's freaking dope. You know what's even crazier is you went to your arraignment, right? Your arraignment was in October?
So my arraignment was in September, and then my actual date was in November.
So you were pregnant when your charges were dropped. At that point, you must have been like, this might as well happen.
Yeah. Oh my God, just give me another fine. Like put me more in the hole.
Fuck it.
I was like, I'm already having to pay to come out here for this bullshit. Oh my God.
We are here. I'm going to be drinking Mai Tais tomorrow. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I was like, I don't care at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's epic. That is your ponytail.
That is a serious ponytail. Other than
that is a serious ponytail.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, girl. Well, first of all, I just want to say a couple things. One, you are a very strong individual. I have no doubt that as a mother, you are and are going to continue to be a phenomenal example for your child on how to be positive and take things to the face with ownership. So very proud of that. Happy and honored to have had your presence here on the show.
Thank you, Andres.
You're gonna be a stellar wife. And I'm just looking forward to continue to be your friend, hopefully, for years after this.
Yes. Bizzler 2023.
I'll just remember not to keep my hats around you.
You know what's funny is when I started just like helping and nannying somebody, and I had to tell her that I had to go back to Louisiana for this court hearing for taking a hat. And she owns her own business, and she came up to me and she was like, Here, I wanted to give this to you so you don't have to steal it from me.
Yeah. Maybe I should just send you a hat. I'll send you a ponytails hat.
I would really love that. I don't know how
It'll
many
say-
hats I wear these days, but I'll wear
It'll
that
say,
one.
and it'll say ponytails, and in the back it'll say "fuck LSU," or maybe it'll just be ponytails, but it'll be purple and gold, like LSU colors. Just
That
like,
would be really funny. Can you make it a visor for me, please?
I will do my best. Amy, can you write that down? We're gonna get this. We're gonna happen. We're gonna make it happen.
I will be so happy.
It'll be a wedding gift. As long as you take a picture of it at your wedding in your wedding dress, I will
Okay.
do that.
Everyone that like knows me, especially within Southwestern, knows about that, and so everyone just like makes
It'll
fun
be
of me
great.
for this LSU hat.
And bring it to keep the sun out of your eyes at Bisler. That's it.
This is true. This is true.
Hell yeah, girl. All right. Well, we're gonna call this one an episode. I feel like this is a good stopping point. I am
Yeah.
so thankful for you to have come on the show. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm glad that you turned and then that you submitted your post. By the way, this is how you can get on the show if you want. There's a form that you fill out. Go to our website, become a guest, and you just give us a little bit of sizzle of the steak of what the story is, and you'll end up just like Brynn here. So I am honored. You're the first
Yes,
person we've
yes.
had submit a story so far. So hopefully you're the first of many. But this has been wonderful, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I hope you had a blast. I hope you enjoyed. But on that note, we're gonna end it here, guys. Thank you so much. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, everyone.